If I were to ever go into the Big Brother house, I could fool myself into thinking that I could win the game due to my wealth of Big Brother knowledge. Or, if worst comes to worst, maybe I could win a few competitions. But who am I kidding? If I actually went on the show, my best chance of winning would be to rely on my social ability, trying to come across as likable and attempting to make as many connections as I possibly could to increase my odds of making it deep into the game. Basically, I would try to play like Quinn did in Big Brother 26, but, without evicting two of my closest allies. Sorry, buddy. As I was saying, though, I feel like the social game is one of the cornerstones that you need to succeed in Big Brother, Well, not everyone feels the same way. Meet Vanessa Rousso, someone who is smarter than me. Vanessa is not your run-of-the-mill Big Brother player. It was sometimes hard to tell if she even had a social game. But you know what she did have? One of the most ruthlessly gobsmacking, domineering, strategic games that I have ever seen in my life. It didn't matter if she was playing from the top, or the bottom, or even on the block. She was gonna crisscross applesauce your mind until she had convinced you to do exactly what she wanted you to do. How exactly did she pull it off, and what was the key to her eventual demise? Let's find out. This is the story of how Vanessa Rousso lost Big Brother 17.
I'm Vanessa, I'm a professional poker player and I live in Las Vegas. While others might rely on their physical competitiveness, I'm going to be relying on my high IQ.
Hey, if you aren't already, consider subscribing to the channel to help me out, because it really does help me out. Thanks. Vanessa Rousso was a 32-year-old professional poker player living in Las Vegas. And my goodness, was she well equipped for the game of Big Brother. Vanessa had studied game theory in college to help her out with her poker game, which equated to her racking in over $4.5 million in poker winnings and being ranked as highly as the number 4 female poker player in the world. Fun fact, I was actually familiar with Vanessa before she was on Big Brother, because I used to love watching Poker Stars The Big Game, and Vanessa was one of the featured players on that series.
Go on, Vanessa, you can do it.
All in.
Colt.
Ace is full.
Wow, that shut me up.
Anyways, Vanessa was a fan of Big Brother, Survivor, and The Amazing Race, even making it far into the casting process for Survivor Cagayan a couple years prior, and potentially even being an alternate for The Amazing Race too. I'm not super sure how accurate that last piece of information was, but even so, I found the Cagayan fact to be pretty neat. Back to Big Brother though. Her plan going into the game was to not come across as overly strategic in week 1, even referencing Brian from Big Brother 10 as an example of how that style of gameplay can bite you in the butt, and rather, she planned on observing the strategies of the other players within the first week or so, and developing her own counter strategy that felt best suited to find success given the play style of the others. Before even entering the house, Vanessa was thinking smart. But would all that hold up once she was actually in the house? Let's find out.
The skills that it takes to be good in poker are really similar to Big Brother. The math and the logic, being able to read people, not letting them read you, and self-discipline.
On night 1, Vanessa learned 3 things. 1, she was a part of the second group of players to move in, because 8 people were already moved in and had started playing the game, which leans into the second thing. This season would feature the Battle of the Block twist from the last season. At the start of each week, instead of 1 player winning the HOH, there would be 2. Each HOH would then nominate 2 house guests for eviction, meaning that there would be 4 players nominated at the start of each week. After nominations, the nominees would then battle against each other in a competition aptly named the Battle of the Block. The winning pair of nominees would not only earn their safety for the week and come off the block, but they would dethrone the HOH that nominated them, and that HOH would lose their safety for the week. The losing pair of nominees would then remain on the block, with the HOH that nominated them becoming the real HOH for the week, and then the round would play out as normal, with a veto competition and then a subsequent eviction. And lastly, the third thing that Vanessa learned is that there was another twist called the BB Takeover that would unleash its own unique twist into the house each week in order to spice things up. This was a whole lot all at once, but Vanessa was used to wild variables all the time on the poker table, so she was ready to face this season head on. As the players sat around the table to introduce themselves, Vanessa knew that it was not in her best interest to let everyone know that she was a professional poker player. So, instead, she told everyone that she was a DJ, which technically was the truth, just not the whole truth.
People have preconceptions about poker players. I want to avoid all that, so just gonna keep it simple. I'm a DJ.
Anyways, before Vanessa even had a chance to fully meet everyone, the first BB Takeover twist was unleashed, where Phil Kogan, the host of The Amazing Race, came onto the screen and announced that he was sending in 2 Amazing Race players to become players for this season. One was the amazing and gorgeous Jackie, and the other one was this dude Jeff. This brought the total number of house guests up to a nice round 16. And now, finally, it was time for the game to begin. The first group of 8 house guests had already competed in their own HOH competition, and James had won it. Now, it was time for Vanessa's group of 8 to compete in their own competition to find out who would be the second HOH for the week. However, Julie announced that one player would have to sit out. As a risk taker, Vanessa saw that there was probably something more going on than just sitting out. So she volunteered to sit out and take one for the team, which definitely earned her some good girl points in the eyes of the others.
No, it's fine, you guys. I'll sit out. No big deal. Being a gambler, I'm all about edges. I see the opportunity. I'm willing to take the gamble. I'll be a good cheerleader.
There you go.
Jason ended up winning the second HOH comp, and before long, Phil Kogan came back on the screen to make an announcement. He told Vanessa and Devon, who was the person to sit out of the first HOH competition, that their risk paid off, and the 2 of them would have their games fast-forwarded to week 2. Meaning that they not only had complete safety for the week, but they would each get to pick one other player to join them and receive safety too.
You can't be nominated or evicted this week.
This was obviously an extremely awesome reward to receive because, duh, it meant Vanessa was safe for the first week, but it also put her in a position to earn massive favor with another player by giving them immunity too. Vanessa had 30 minutes to do quick one-on-ones with the other players, and during this time, she connected well with Shelly, Clay, Audrey, but above all, Austin. Austin had a completely different skill set than her, and he seemed like someone who would be a beast in physical competitions. And that made him a very enticing option to pick.
Since my biggest drawback in the game is physically, I'm looking for someone who brings a lot physically to the table.
So when the 30 minutes were up, Vanessa chose to give safety to Austin, which I definitely think was one of the best choices.
Austin.
Yeah. I'm gonna be as loyal as I need to be with Vanessa.
As for the game in this first week, Vanessa didn't seem to be super involved with the overarching plans, so I'm gonna breeze through it. James nominated Jackie and Steve, while Jason nominated Becky and Johnny Mac. But there was a bigger backdoor plan in motion. Becky and Johnny Mac won the Battle of the Block, which earned them safety and dethroned Jason as the HOH. Steve then went on to win the veto, to which he used it on himself. And then James nominated his true intended target, Jace, as the replacement. Jace was just this loud, overly energetic player who talked too much for his own good. And since he was in really good shape, he seemed like the perfect big target for the house to get out in this first week.
I think he was hoping for everyone to start laughing and everything, but it was actually half chuckles and crickets.
Now, all things considered, I would say that Vanessa actually followed her pre-game week 1 strategy to a T. Outside of one pretty big emotional breakdown she had about missing her girlfriend Mel from back home, Vanessa was relatively not that involved in all of the house shenanigans and drama. In terms of the game, she was included in the formation of a 5-person alliance called the Sleeper Cell, which consisted of herself, Clay, Shelly, Austin, and Audrey. Next, Vanessa had this sort of 3-person grouping with herself, Austin, and Liz, which definitely seemed helped by the fact that they were all have-nots this first week, meaning they got to spend ample time together and shared misery. Speaking of which, Vanessa had locked in on Austin being her #1 ally. She liked him and trusted him as much as you could in week 1, but she attempted to limit the amount of time they spent together so that the house didn't figure out how close they really were. Austin's big physical presence made him a natural target though, so one morning, Vanessa actually recommended that Austin fake some sort of injury in order to reduce his threat level. And even though Austin never went through with this, I thought that this was a very forward-thinking and clever idea. Anyways, the last connection that Vanessa built was this seemingly under-the-radar bond with Steve, because the two of them were semi-outsiders in the gameplay this week, and they felt it made sense to connect. Overall, this was not a bad start. However, there was also a teensy negative thing that happened to Vanessa, and it segues into the overarching drama of the week. You see, even though Vanessa was in an alliance with Audrey decided that, for whatever reason, she was going to try and paint a target onto Vanessa's back by telling people that Vanessa was putting together this all-women's alliance and that she was the head of it.
Vanessa cannot be trusted. She instigated the all-girl alliance. She has been working hard.
This was just a blatant lie. Vanessa was in no such alliance, but then, just because she felt like it, Audrey stirred the pot even more by going to Vanessa and letting her know that some people, like Devon, had been saying that she had been putting together this all-women's alliance.
I just want to bring it to your attention, kind of this girl clique. You're being associated with it.
Really? Who thinks that? So I can seriously dispel them of this.
That's one of them.
Vanessa wasn't one to just let something like that slide, so she was quick to want to get to the bottom of this. She eventually found a moment with Devon and asked about the situation, to which Devon replied that she never started that rumor, but that she heard about it from Audrey. So, about an hour later, Vanessa found herself in a room with just Devon and Audrey, and she decided it was time to air everything out.
You told me Day was the one who told you that I'm in an all-girls alliance.
Never said that.
That really did come from Day.
Let's rally the troops, because you know that's false. But game on.
Now, in general, Audrey had been doing exactly what Vanessa didn't want to do coming into the game. She was doing way too much, spreading lies over here, talking secretly over there, waking people up at 5 in the morning to go and bring them into an alliance without actually consulting anyone else in the alliance first. Audrey was a whole freaking mess, and it was making everyone mad. In this particular instance, Devon called a house meeting to address the situation, and honestly, this ended up being great for Vanessa, because it cleared her name and exposed that Audrey was a pathological liar to pretty much everyone in the house.
When she woke you guys up at night, what did she say?
That Vanessa was the problem.
Okay, well then honestly, you said it came from Day.
You are pathological.
You are pathological. Every example there is, the mistrust between everybody and Vanessa has all been planted by you.
Just admit that the girls' alliance thing was completely from you.
It was not for me.
Your has hit the fan point blank and the period.
So, as I was saying, even though Vanessa was technically in an alliance with Audrey, it was clear that she couldn't be trusted. And this incident was just one of many involving Audrey. So as week 2 approached, Audrey was public enemy number 1. As for the rest of week 1 though, Jace tried his hardest to rally the votes in his favor, but it was never gonna happen. When eviction night came, Vanessa voted to evict Jace, and by a vote of 12-1, Jace was the first person evicted from the Big Brother 17 house, with Audrey being the one vote for him to stay, for some reason.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hi there.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict Jace.
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 Jackie. With 12 votes to evict, Jace, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
Now, before we move on, I just wanted to mention that even though Vanessa initially planned on telling everyone that she was a DJ, she did eventually mention to Austin and Devon, and maybe some others, that she had a history of playing poker. But she did not tell them the extent of her going pro and winning millions of dollars. Okay, heading into week 2, Kathy Griffin showed up on the screen and announced that she would be bringing about this next week's BB Takeover twist. But the details of that would be revealed later. because it was time for the HOH comp. Vanessa did pretty well in this competition, but ultimately, she didn't win, and rather, Becky and Shelly became the new HOHs. Becky was not someone that Vanessa was all that close with, but Shelly was. So Vanessa was feeling pretty solid with this result. Now, just like with week 1, the start of this week was a rather quiet one for Vanessa, so I'll just fast forward the house game stuff. Becky wanted to backdoor Audrey, but Shelly actually wanted Devon gone. This is because Shelly and Clay were really close in the game and were about to become a showmance, and because there was this conflict that occurred in week 1 between Clay and Devon, Shelly was getting the feeling that Devon was always going to be against them. So Becky nominated Steve and Jason, while Shelly nominated Devon and Johnny Mac. Shelly and Clay had gotten Johnny Mac to agree to throw the Battle of the Block competition, and Steve and Jason were able to win it, earning their safety for the week and dethroning Becky. Johnny Mac then won the veto, used it on himself, and Shelly named Meg the replacement nominee as a pawn sitting next to Devon. Kathy Griffin's takeover twist for this week was revealed to be a small power. Long story short, one random house guest would receive the last laugh power, which would allow for them to cancel 3 eviction votes at this upcoming eviction, and Devon ended up receiving this power. Okay, that was pretty much all you need to know for the house stuff that didn't involve Vanessa. I know it's a little odd for me to just be fast forwarding all that game stuff, but the fact of the matter is that Vanessa genuinely had very little influence at this point in the game, and there hasn't been all that much to talk about her. But clearly, if you've seen the length of this video, you know that things are going to change very, very soon. So, anyways, what exactly was Vanessa doing this week? Well, she was strengthening her relationships, of course. Of the people in the house, the 2 that she seemed the most connected to were Austin and Liz. The 3 of them had their little trio alliance, and even though Austin was her de facto number 1, Liz was not a bad number 2. Vanessa liked Liz a lot, and she was a very useful number for her to have. There actually was a tiny scare this week that Liz would be the replacement nominee instead of Meg, but Vanessa and Austin went up to Shelly and Clay and laid out why exactly it was a risk to put up Liz, and why Meg was the safer option here. The reason I didn't bring this up earlier is because most of this was Austin. I didn't think this specific situation was that important, and I can't actually tell you every little move Vanessa did without self-combusting. But I did want to at least give this a small mention because it showed Vanessa actively putting in work to try and keep her numbers safe.
Because we can't lose Liz. They might save day unless you put Meg up. I'll tell her.
We're sharing info.
I'm just worried that somehow they have 7 people down there and flip this thing and just keep her in there.
If I put Meg up, they have to choose between one of theirs.
Anyways, outside of Austin and Liz, Vanessa also continued building her bonds with Shelly and Clay. Even though they were technically aligned in the Sleeper Cell Alliance, that wasn't exactly the most secure group of people. So the Shelly and Clay situation was sort of like the door was open and there were clearly positive sparks, but nothing was like solidified yet. You feel me? Skipping away from them for now, Vanessa also officially formed a duo alliance with Steve, called the Students of Sound, or SOS for short. This wasn't anything game-changing because Steve was like a total outsider, but it was nice for her to have this because it was completely separate from all of her other alliances. And lastly, Vanessa had formed a pretty good connection with Devon. However, everyone Vanessa was working with really wanted Devon evicted this week, and there wasn't that much she could do to sway their minds, so this connection didn't do much for her. All things considered, though, Vanessa was doing pretty alright, even if she wasn't commanding the house or having outrageous levels of influence. But a big shocker was about to be revealed to Vanessa that would change everything.
Really freaking the out.
During this week, there was a lot of speculation about a potential twin twist going on in the house. For those that don't know, the twin twist was something that originally happened back in Big Brother 5, where for the first 4 weeks of the season, a pair of twins were secretly playing the game as just one person, switching in and out every couple of days in the hopes that nobody would figure out that they were actually 2 different people. If the twins could make it to week 5 without being evicted, then the other twin would enter the game as their own individual player. Now, Devon had started putting some pieces together, and she realized that, sometimes, Liz didn't look like Liz. She shared her suspicions with many other people, and this rumor spread like wildfire throughout the house. Steve was the first person to tell Vanessa about this, and initially, Vanessa didn't seem to give it that much thought, at least visibly. But the night before the eviction, Vanessa was lying in bed with Liz when this happened.
You heard that about you? Yeah. Is it true? If you can tell me, I'll give you my word. Vanessa, don't tell anyone. It's true. No, my name is Julia.
Whoa! Okay, to be honest, Liz and Julia actually look pretty different, so it's not that big of a reveal, but still, whoa! This showcased just how good of a job Vanessa had done at getting Liz, or Julia, or both of them to trust her, because Vanessa genuinely was the first person that the twins told the truth to.
I trust Vanessa. She's the only person to tell me that people have been talking that I'm a twin.
This is mind-boggling and game-changing.
After learning this truth, Vanessa instantly went into game mode, telling Julia exactly what differences the house had taken note of with the twins, and what she could do to minimize the backlash. Then, Vanessa started thinking broader. What was the best way for her to capitalize on this information? And pretty quickly, it hit her. This was the bargaining chip that could secure her a spot in a legitimate power alliance of her own creation. Vanessa wanted to form a 6-person group consisting of herself, Liz, Julia, Austin, Shelly, and Clay. So Vanessa went upstairs and got to work on Shelly and Clay. She started it off with the perfect ego stroking to Shelly before revealing the truth bomb about Liz and Julia.
The 2 most perceptive people in the house are Day and Shelly.
Shelly and Clay are the perfect people to pull in because they already worked with me to keep Liz off the block.
She's a twin.
What is the other one's
I said
name?
Julia. Oh! That's a number for us, and that's good. Okay?
I really want to be a part of this.
This revelation got them all excited about pulling Liz into their group, because if they locked in that trust with her and got her past the 5th eviction, then Julia would enter the game, and that's a whole extra number for them. Later on, Vanessa went and revealed the twin information to Austin, who was so hilariously confused about the situation, and it was made even funnier once you learned that Austin had been crushing super hard on Liz, and now he had realized that he had been flirting with 2 different people the entirety of the season.
What? Why does it matter she's a twin? Like, she's been switching already.
Bro, get in the game.
I'm so bad.
I'm an idiot.
Anyways, Vanessa had finished setting up all the groundwork, and as long as nothing went wrong, a new 6-person alliance would officially form starting next week. The day after learning about the twins, it was time for the 2nd eviction. And it was a pretty swift process. Devon used her power to prevent Jeff, Jackie, and Becky from voting, but it wasn't enough to save her. Only Jason and Audrey voted to keep Devon, and by a vote of 7-2, Devon was evicted from the Big Brother house.
Hey, Julie.
Please cast your vote to evict.
Sadly, I vote to evict the very beautiful Day.
Mama Day.
Day.
Davon.
Davon.
Day.
Devon.
Meg.
By a vote of 7-2, Devon, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
Going into the 3rd HOH, Vanessa was gunning for the win. But even she wasn't prepared for the result that she was gonna get. Not only did Vanessa win the HOH, but Austin won the HOH as well.
Congratulations to Vanessa and Austin.
I can't believe that just happened. I can't believe that just happened.
I get back in the house, and my 2 besties are HOHs, and I am on cloud 10.
Genuinely, there could not have been a better outcome. Vanessa and her number 1 ally had all the power this week, and it was time for them to make their mark on the house. The first order of business was solidifying that alliance of 6. They all went upstairs to the HOH room, and the 6th Sense Alliance was officially born.
You have an ally, you have a group.
We're helping you out.
I'm just like literally dying that you guys are HOH. Like, I can breathe.
This could be called with Clay and then your sister, the 6th Sense.
Who thinks of that?
Me.
Now that we're at this point, I feel like I should probably tell you what the house structure looked like as a whole. Now, keep in mind, the house was still pretty fluid, and there were certain players who had connections with others not on their respective side, but this should give you the general idea of what was going on and where people's loyalties really lied. On Vanessa's side, it was basically just the Sixth Sense Alliance. Herself, Austin, Liz/Julia, Shelly, and Clay. On the other side of the house, there was James, Meg, Jeff, Jackie, and Jason. Then, the three players in the middle, who didn't quite have a home but had their own connections, were Steve, Johnny Mac, and Becky. But Becky was leaning in the direction of James's side of the house. And then, lastly, there was Audrey. Even though she squeaked through week 2 unscathed, she was still the consensus house target.
I think it's going to be an easy week to be head of household because everyone has the same agenda. Audrey needs to go.
However, that wasn't what Vanessa wanted to do. Although Vanessa and Audrey had their differences, getting rid of Audrey didn't actually help Vanessa at all. Audrey acted as a great shield for Vanessa in the house, and she had actually been putting in a lot of work to reconcile with Vanessa and get back into her good graces. So it just didn't make sense to target her. However, she and Austin talked and realized that it was probably to their benefit to let the rest of the house think that an Audrey backdoor was their ultimate goal, because it would keep everyone calm for the time being.
Everyone thinks we're backdooring Audrey. There's no reason why it wouldn't be wide open for us to do it.
We're gonna let them think that.
You just tell me
The house may be gunning after Audrey, but at the end of the day, Austin and I need to do what's best for our house.
Vanessa had 3 main targets in mind for the other side of the house: Jeff, James, and Jason, with Jeff being her ideal target of the bunch, but James being her secondary choice because she just didn't like James very much.
Jeff is a huge threat in the house. His social game is incredible.
I can't stand him. He's actually literally the one person in the whole house I don't like.
As the HOH, Vanessa was in a position of power, and she took full advantage of it by making some deals with players. Firstly, she made a truce with Becky to not target each other all the way through the pre-jury, which was smart of Vanessa to lock in because she and Becky didn't have any deals up to this point. Next, Vanessa and Austin were able to make a deal with Johnny Mac. You see, Vanessa and Austin had agreed that between the two of them, Vanessa should be the one to remain HOH. So she needed someone to throw the battle of the block for her so she could remain in power. Since Johnny Mac did it last week, he was the only person they could trust to do it again, and they made a deal with Johnny Mac to give him safety until a week after jury began if he agreed to do it, which he did.
So here's the offer. If you're willing to throw it, Austin and I will both give you through 1 week into jury.
at least. Okay.
No more pawn ever. Are you okay with that?
We gotta do what we gotta do, right?
Next, Vanessa and Steve had a really long conversation that made Vanessa feel even better about Steve. Steve's perception in the house was that he didn't tell anyone any game information. But the fact of the matter is that Steve was telling Vanessa stuff, like the twin thing. And that made Vanessa feel that she could genuinely trust him. Austin was pretty hesitant about Steve and was considering him as a nominee option, but Vanessa was able to talk him out of it and convince him that Steve actually wanted to work with Austin. It certainly helped that the entire other side of the house was pushing for Steve to be the backdoor target if the Audrey plan didn't work, which made it all the easier for Vanessa and Austin to rope Steve over to their side. So, not too long later, Vanessa and Austin revealed that the twin rumor was real and that they were on their side, and a new alliance was born called the Freaks and Geeks Alliance, consisting of Vanessa, Austin, Liz/Julia, and Steve.
Austin, the twins, and I are already a really close foursome, but it's really important that we pull Steve in at this point so we can control the vote from here on out.
What about like Geek Squad, Freak Squad?
Freaking Geek Squad? Can we call it?
What about the HBICs?
Lastly, Vanessa met with Audrey and let her know that even though Vanessa was telling the other side of the house that the plan was to backdoor her, that was absolutely not going to happen, and that Audrey was completely safe this week.
You got nothing to worry about.
Straight up, like, you are not my enemy. You are my friend. I don't ever want them to know we're working together.
They would be mind blown.
We're thinking we can keep Audrey close for now, let her think she's working with us, and then deal with her later.
Overall, Vanessa did an exceptional job capitalizing on her position of power, and for the first time in this game, she was in a legitimate power position and had real alliances that actually meant something. As for nominations, Vanessa decided to nominate James and Johnny Mac, while Austin nominated Jason and Meg.
James, I've nominated you. I know that you will respect this as the game move that it is.
Johnny Mac successfully threw the Battle of the Block competition, resulting in Meg and Jason earning their safety for the week, and Vanessa retaining the power of HOH.
I get to stay head of household. Of course, I risk getting more blood on my hands, but all in all, I think it's a good spot for me to be in.
Even though Vanessa initially wanted Jeff to go this week, she came to the conclusion that it would be a whole lot easier if her nomination stayed the same. This way, she didn't have to get any additional blood on her hands, she didn't need to come up with a reason as to why Audrey wasn't the replacement nominee, and getting rid of James was still a great outcome. Because remember, Vanessa didn't like James.
I'm just gonna go for James this week, and we'll get Jeff next week. I wanna get out of this week with as little blood on my hands as possible. Keeping James on the block and leaving the nominations the same is the best way to do it.
However, during the veto competition, something happened that Vanessa did not like. The final round came down to Austin and Johnny Mac, and Vanessa was rooting for Austin to win so that he could keep the nominations the same. But out of nowhere, it looked like Austin purposefully threw the competition to Johnny Mac, and he won the veto instead.
Austin, what did you just do? You just totally jeopardized all of our plans, and now I'm in a position that I didn't think I was gonna have to be in.
With Johnny winning this veto, Vanessa was now forced to name a replacement nominee, which already wasn't what she wanted, but the more pressing matter was the fact that she was almost 100% sure that Austin had thrown that competition and was now lying to her about it. He was supposed to be her number one, and that was some shady stuff. So Vanessa put a mental note in the back of her mind that maybe she couldn't trust Austin as much as she thought she could.
I think I convinced the house that I was trying to beat Johnny Mac. However, the one person that I need to convince is Vanessa.
Bro, like, you're never going to try to convince me that you didn't throw that.
I didn't try to throw it.
You're never going to convince me of that.
Vanessa,
Let me
I
tell you,
didn't
I'm
throw
pissed.
it.
It pisses me off because it's like, I just need one person to count on this game, but like, it's whatever.
I'm not lying to you.
And you're not going to throw things that doesn't intimidate me or...
I'm not trying to intimidate you. I'm telling you the truth.
Now, as for the replacement nominee, the whole other side of the house was expecting her to put up Audrey. But clearly, that's not what Vanessa was going to do. She wanted to put up Jeff. But the thing is, she felt like she needed a legitimate reason to put up Jeff. Otherwise, it would look extremely fishy. Luckily, a perfect opportunity to blow up Jeff's position came up when Austin and Clay caught Jeff in a lie. And all Vanessa had to do was hop into the argument, throw out the bait, and wait for Jeff to take it.
The whole house wants Audrey out, but I need an excuse to put someone else up on the block. Time for Operation Expose Jeff.
You told me that we can't trust Clay until Shelly is out of the picture.
Jeff, what the hell?
I just want to know what the hell is true and what's not true.
You've never said that Austin's a target for you. You did, dude. I will put my hand on the Bible.
Put your hand on the Bible.
Don't you dare. You're gonna say that right? Oh my God, you must be like silly. I'm sorry, you could have sealed your fate. But you wanna like make up lies about me? I will put your out on blast.
Oh my goodness, I absolutely love her saying, "You must be like silly." I quote it in my day-to-day life all the time, and nobody ever has any idea what I'm talking about. Anyways, now that Vanessa had her reason, she was ready to put Jeff up. At the veto ceremony, Johnny Mac took himself off the block, and Vanessa was able to keep Audrey safe by naming Jeff as the replacement.
And Jeff, when you lied to a room full of people at my expense, you took a swing at my integrity, so please take a seat.
Now, this was a big power move, because Vanessa was basically drawing a line in the sand with the other side of the house, but she went about it in a semi-clever way. By claiming that she nominated Jeff because of their altercation, she could mask the fact that she was taking a direct shot at the other side, and instead say that it was a personal move. And it was kinda working. The other side saw Vanessa as an emotional player, not a strategic one, which is what Vanessa wanted because it made her less of a threatening player. The only problem, though, is that it didn't change the fact that they were pissed with Vanessa, and they were set on targeting her this next week. As for the plan this week, though, Vanessa wanted Jeff gone, and James actually started to warm up to her throughout the week because he took his nomination like a champ and was very respectful towards her. Although the vote was pretty close, Vanessa got her wish. By a vote of 7-4, Jeff was evicted from the Big Brother house, with Steve, Liz, Johnny Mac, and Jackie voting against James.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, Miss Julie.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict Jeff.
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 James.
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 By a vote of 7 to 4, Jeff, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
While getting Jeff out was a good result for Vanessa, she got a lot of blood on her hands this week. She was taking all the heat for this move, and Jackie, Meg, and James were all coming after her this upcoming week. That's obviously really freaking scary. However, we can't forget all the good work that Vanessa did at the start of this week. She created 2 separate alliances with the Sixth Sense and the Freaks and Geeks. She had Audrey completely in her corner, Steve was more locked in than ever, and she had some blanket safety deals with Johnny Mac and Becky. Things were rough, but they weren't all rough. So, heading into the week for HOH, Vanessa had her fingers and toes crossed that one of her allies could win the power and keep her safe.
Jeff, who goes up to the reigning HOH, takes a public swing at their integrity, and then tries to throw them under the bus for something they're responsible for. Bye-bye.
As the previous HOH, Vanessa was forced to watch as the most important competition of the summer went down. And somehow, for the second week in a row, Vanessa got a near perfect result once Shelly and Liz won the HOH. These were 2 of her closer allies, so Vanessa could breathe a sigh of relief, knowing that she was absolutely safe this round. Vanessa and the rest of the Sixth Sense Alliance talked, and they figured it was best to just keep doing what they were doing in targeting the other side of the house. So Liz nominated James and Jackie for eviction, while Shelly nominated Jason and Johnny Mac, with Johnny Mac being a pawn for like the 4th week in a row. James and Jackie went on to win the Battle of the Block, dethroning Liz and leaving Shelly as the sole HOH for the 2nd time this season. This looked like it was shaping to be the easiest week of all time. But then Audrey had to go and mess all that up. I don't know what exactly it was. Maybe it was paranoia. Maybe it was just in her blood. But Audrey just couldn't help herself from stirring the pot. And one of the things she did this week was spend hours and hours talking smack about Vanessa again. For who knows what reason. On top of that, she was also saying some stuff about Shelly and Clay that got back to them. So they were now considering that backdooring Audrey might just be the safest move. And Vanessa was kinda inclined to agree.
She's doing people so dirty in this game.
Oh my gosh,
Be tight with the people who are freaking protecting you.
Hurt me once, shame on you. Hurt me twice, shame on me. Hurt me 3 times.
So, going into the veto competition, Vanessa was trying to win it. And she did. That's 2 weeks in a row now where Vanessa had won a competition. And she was proving to be more of a challenge threat than she was expecting.
Pour your colored chemical into your flask. Congratulations, Vanessa! You have won the golden power of veto!
This is good stuff.
Yay, Big!
Now, as if Vanessa needed any more reason to use the veto, a fight broke out upstairs between Audrey and Clay that eventually turned into a fight between Audrey and Vanessa. And this all but sealed Audrey's fate.
You're upset about something completely irrelevant to all of us. Because you're a liar. Clearly, you're wearing me right now in this game. And when this is all over, you're going to feel stupid. You're an amazing manipulator. You set up the whole Jeff thing as if like there wasn't a plan. They obviously believe you.
Were you in the room ever when I said repeatedly, I have no reason to put him up? If you have a reason, get it in the open and then I'll have a reason.
I swear on my life.
Quit swearing on your life and lying. I don't know, but do you not value your own life? Like, stop.
Of the 2 nominees, Vanessa actually wanted to use the veto on Jason for a couple of reasons. 1, Jason asked Vanessa to use it on him, and that would build some much needed trust with someone on that side of the house. With all the heat that Vanessa took for evicting Jeff, she needed any reconnecting opportunities that she could get with that side, and using the veto on Jason was the perfect step 1 in doing so. Plus, everyone agreed that Johnny Mac was much more likely to remain safe on the block than Jason. So, at the veto meeting, Vanessa used the veto on Jason, and Shelly named Audrey the replacement nominee. But she wasn't even there to take her seat next to John.
I have decided to use the power veto on Jason.
I am naming Audrey as my replacement nominee.
Audrey didn't participate in the veto meeting, and I think that's the first time in Big Brother history.
Audrey remained the target all week long, and the plan never deviated. So when eviction night came, it was swift. By a vote of 9-1, with also an additional penalty vote for eating pizza while being a have-not, Audrey was evicted from the Big Brother house.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hey, Julie.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict Audrey.
Audrey. Audrey.
Audrey.
Audrey.
Audrey.
Audrey.
Audrey.
Audrey.
John.
With 9 votes to evict plus 1 penalty vote, Audrey, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
Although Audrey was on Vanessa's side at times, she was also throwing Vanessa's name out a lot this week, and keeping her in the house was way too big of a risk. Vanessa had even convinced herself that Audrey was America's player due to how erratic of a contestant she had been throughout the entirety of the game. So her going home was the right call, but it was also the easy call. Now, there wasn't an easy house target amongst the crop of players, and that meant that anyone could be in danger this week. Even though Vanessa had tried to build a bridge by saving Jason with the veto, it didn't end up putting her in any better of a spot with that side. Meg, Jackie, Jason, and James were all still thinking about Vanessa as a target, so going into this 5th HOH, the pressure was at an all-time high.
Bottom line is, I sent Jeff home 2 weeks ago. That was her closest ally in the game, and I know I'm probably one of her top 2 targets.
This HOH competition was the knockout comp, and Vanessa was doing quite well in it. The problem, though, is that her allies weren't, and once it got down to 4 players left, it was Vanessa and 3 people maybe wanting to target her. Jackie ended up winning the first HOH, putting Vanessa in a win or you're in big trouble position against Jason. But Vanessa locked in, and she won the second HOH.
Head to head, I'll flip and flop.
That is correct. Congratulations to Vanessa and Jackie.
Not only was this the 3rd week in a row that Vanessa had won a competition, but it was a crucial win. There was a very good chance that Vanessa would have been a nominee had she not won that HOH. But now she had safety and power, at least initially.
Being HOH, you get a lot of blood on your hands. That's something I really wanted to avoid this week. But as soon as Jackie won the first HOH, I knew I had to win the second one.
Now, being the HOH with Austin in week 3 was one thing, but now she was the HOH with Jackie. The whole situation could go one of 2 ways. 1, Vanessa and Jackie stick to their guns, nominate the other's allies, and it's an all-out war. This clearly didn't sound like a clean option, so Vanessa and Jackie quickly spoke and agreed to go with option number 2, actually working together for the week.
While I know she has her own agenda, I'm pretty sure we can find some common ground and move forward working together.
They not only agreed to not backdoor whichever of them got dethroned, but they also agreed to work together on picking a target. Jackie went first about who her 3 potential targets were, and she listed Liz, Steve, and Austin. Oof! Now, Vanessa knew that she couldn't shut those options down without making it super obvious that she was aligned with them. So, she played it cool.
I decided not to protest it. It would be too obvious if I put up any kind of fight.
You just took my nominees out of my mouth. Me too. So, basically.
But she actually was potentially down with it, particularly the Austin plan. You see, the night before, Vanessa was just strolling on over to the bathroom when she saw Jason, Meg, and Shelly all huddled up and whispering. Jason called her over and then told Vanessa that earlier that day, Austin had come to Jason, exposed the truth that the twins existed, and basically said that he was cool with Julia getting evicted because he really only cared about Liz. Whoa! First off, Vanessa had to feign like this was the first time she was hearing actual confirmation of the twins' existence. Otherwise, that would expose just how close she was with the twins. But second off, what the heck was Austin doing talking to Jason of all people? And why did he spill the beans about the twins?
Yeah, good. Austin has told Jason that there are 2 twins.
Austin, what are you doing? When you go tell someone it's okay if they target them, that's like selling out your alliance, and I'm not okay with that.
Vanessa felt like Austin was betraying the alliance, and now she really questioned if she could actually trust him. Since he was her number 1 ally, though, she decided that she was going to give Austin one last chance to prove himself. So she brought him upstairs to the HOH room to see if he would be truthful with her. And he wasn't.
So, a lot of people have a strong feeling with the twins.
No, I've talked to Jason about it. He wants to basically take Julia out and just keep one because he likes Liz.
Don't lie to me ever either. You lie to me, I'm gonna be pissed.
I know he's lying to me about two things. He's not giving me all of the details that he's given to Jason. He's trying to make it sound like Jason was the one to sell Julia out.
Why did Austin have to lie to me? Why?
Well, that was it. Austin had lied straight to her face, and that was the one thing that Vanessa couldn't let slide. Within The Sixth Sense, Vanessa had always seemed to lean closer to the Austin/Liz/Julia side, but Shelley and Clay had proven to be way more loyal in the past couple rounds, so maybe it was time to start leaning towards that couple.
I started questioning Austin when he throws the POV to John, and the breaking point is now he's lying blatantly to my face. Clelly has proven loyal, so I'm swinging over to the Clelly side of things at Austin's expense.
Vanessa had Shelley and Clay come upstairs, and she let them know that Austin had just lied directly to her face. It really didn't take all that much to convince the couple that Austin was trouble now, and the two of them were down to turn on Austin. The three of them then went and sat with Jackie, and a monumental strategy talk ensued. Jackie had already shared that she was hoping to become the sole HOH this week. And while it may seem risky to let someone you haven't been aligned with retain all of the power, Vanessa was actually super cool with this. She was still covered in blood from her week 3 HOH, and she didn't want to keep piling it on. Plus, since Vanessa was okay with letting Austin go now, she was happy to be dethroned as HOH and let Jackie get all the blood on her hands. So the plan was that Jackie would try and backdoor Austin, but if that didn't work, then Liz would be the backup option.
She wants to stay in power. I'm fine to not.
If you pick somebody to go home, who would you want to go home this week?
Either Austin or Liz.
Now, with all that in mind, Vanessa and Jackie needed to figure out who they were going to nominate in order to best ensure that Jackie remained the HOH. They figured that the best way to do this would be for Vanessa to nominate 2 super strong competitors that would more than likely win the Battle of the Block, while Jackie would nominate Liz and then a pawn to throw it, although that pawn couldn't be Johnny Mac because he had been nominated every week, and people were catching on to him being used to throw Battle of the Blocks. Clay stepped up to the table and volunteered himself for the block, and he asked if Becky would go up with him because she was a strong competitor too. Becky and Jackie were best friends in the game, so Jackie was able to get Becky on board with the plan.
So she's okay with.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. For reals? So I was like, we can put her up unless she agrees.
Okay, perfect. Vanessa's nominees were now settled, but Jackie still needed someone to throw the comp on her side. This now ties in to the next big thing we gotta talk about. Now, Vanessa went to school for game theory. She was all about making the moves that were most optimal for her. And if she was going to throw Austin and the twins to the wolves, she needed to ensure that she got something even better than those 3 in return. So Vanessa talked with Clay, Shelley, and Jackie, and they came up with a plan. They wanted to form a new alliance of 8. It would be Vanessa, Clay, and Shelley teaming up with Jackie, Becky, and the rest of Jackie's side, that being Jason, Meg, and James. This was a huge move if it worked out. A merging of the different sides of the house, coming together to take out Austin and the twins. But if this was going to happen, they needed to actually get those 3 on board. So Vanessa and Jackie sat down with Jason, Meg, and James and laid everything out. In order for this to work, Jackie needed one of the 3 of them to volunteer to go up next to Liz and throw the Battle of the Block, and James eventually agreed to it. At this point, Vanessa was all in. She shook hands with everyone, and just like that, the 8-person Dark Moon Alliance was officially born.
I know people think that I'm working with Austin and Liz. Quite frankly, I was very loyal to them until Austin betrayed me. It would be best to have Austin go home first and then the twins. Right. What Shelley and Clay put on the table is a final 8 deal with the 8 of us.
I'm absolutely in for all that.
It's
smart.
Foolproof.
Right, it's foolproof.
I'm gonna shake your hand like straight up, you have my word, like this is 100% the plan.
Can we be Dark Moon?
Dark Moon? Oh my god, that's so good.
The best part of the plan is that she's gonna get all the blood in her hands for backdooring Austin, not me.
This was a huge game changer, obviously. But it could be the move that pushed Vanessa towards the end of this game. Vanessa then made up a story to tell to Austin, because of course she couldn't let him know what was actually happening, and he seemed to buy it. Perfect. All of her bases were covered. At the nomination ceremony, Jackie nominated Liz and James, and Vanessa nominated Clay and Becky.
Whoa! I am not on the block! This is crazy! Like, what do I do with myself?
As the players went to compete in the Battle of the Block, Vanessa was feeling good. She was ready to be dethroned, so she sat back and watched as Clay and Becky lost the competition. Somehow, even with James legitimately throwing it, Liz had won the Battle of the Block on her own against two of the better competitors in the house. Oh my God. Liz and James were safe. Clay and Becky were on the block. Jackie was dethroned, and Vanessa remained the sole HOH for the week.
Oh, mince alors, zut, vraiment.
The plan was to backdoor Austin, but never in a million years did I think that I was gonna have to be the one to do it.
It's gonna be a bloodbath again.
Talk about worst case scenario. With Liz winning this and guaranteeing her safety, the twins had completed their mission to survive 5 evictions, and Julia would be entering the game as an individual at the next live eviction. Clay ended up winning the veto, which was a bit of a relief for Vanessa, because that meant that she didn't need to worry about Clay being sniped out. But now, was getting really real. She had told everyone that the plan was still to backdoor Austin, but she didn't want to blindside the twins and have them gunning for her too. So, to minimize the backlash, Vanessa spilled some of the beans to Liz and let her know how Austin betrayed them all to Jason and threw Julia to the wolves. While Liz was mega annoyed that Austin took it to that extent, she shared that this was actually a plan that Austin had shared with Liz before he did it, and that even though she didn't like Austin like that, he was still a number on their side.
I've been dying to tell Liz about the plan to backdoor Austin, but now that the POV is over, I finally can.
3 nights ago, Shelly gets pulled into the bathroom by Jason.
I knew he was gonna do that.
Oh, you knew he was gonna tell Jason?
He made it seem like to me that he was doing it as insurance.
He made a deal with Jason. Everyone can gun for Julia. He's looking out for you to get you to jury house to get some ass. That's literally, let me tell you, you must have some golden ass, is all I can say.
I'm not trying to defend him at all, but I know he has my back.
I know.
If he goes out, we're down an alliance member.
This got Vanessa's head spinning once more. Was blindsiding Austin actually the best move for her? So she decided to give Austin one more opportunity to explain himself. And oh boy, was this conversation a movie. Vanessa basically told Austin, hey, the entire house is backing this plan to backdoor you. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't do that. And Austin sat there and begged for his life. He said that he only told Jason that he was cool with Julia being evicted so that Jason didn't realize how close they all actually were, and that he regrets telling him anything, and that he was falling in love with Liz and it was impacting his decision making. He swore up and down that he was loyal to Vanessa and that he would never put her up, and to please give him one more chance.
Why would you sell her sister out to Jason?
I thought what I was saying was going to separate it all in people's minds.
It was like such a terrible decision. He's not trustworthy. Like,
I believe that I could trust him.
trusted you like a friend, dude.
I was trying to help us, honestly. I messed up. Are you gonna put me up?
Well, it's a very real possibility.
Oh my God, Vanessa, please.
I would never vote against you. I would never evict you. I could never do that to you, ever. I was scared and I made the wrong decision. I will do anything.
At this moment, Vanessa was stumped. So she gave Austin a task. If he could convince Shelly and Clay to get back on board with him and solidify their allegiance, then maybe she would consider not sending Austin home this week.
I don't want to do this to you.
Okay, then I'm gonna do whatever it takes right now.
Okay, so we'll figure it out.
Austin then went to talk with Clay and Shelly, and he was actually successful in his pitch. So Shelly and Clay went upstairs to talk with Vanessa and figure out what the heck they were going to do this week. The big downside for Vanessa with not going through with the Austin backdoor plan is that this was going to make her a gigantic target. She had already given her word to the rest of the Dark Moon Alliance that Austin was going up. And if she went back on this, then Jackie, Jason, James, and Meg were absolutely going to be targeting her full force. With that being said, though, she was already a bit paranoid that those people weren't actually loyal to the Dark Moon Alliance anyways, and sticking with them would put her in a bad position moving forwards. So Vanessa eventually convinced herself that keeping Austin, who had just sworn his undying loyalty to Vanessa if she spared him this week, was the ideal move for her to make. And rather, she wanted to target who she considered to be the brains and the glue holding the other side of the house together. Jason.
The odds are better if Austin stays with us.
But my numbers are worse.
It's either going to be a big blow up or we lose a number.
It's between Jason and Austin.
But Jason's the smarter one. He's the way brains of the operation. Let me tell you, without him, they crumble.
It's going to be blood, 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 blood from here on out.
Now, I'm letting you know right now that I am kind of skipping over so much of the itty-bitty details here, and that's because it's an unbelievable amount of nonsense. As I mentioned during the Jeff week, Vanessa felt like she needed to have a reason to put up Jason in order to justify it to the house, and her reasoning was this really convoluted mess. Way back in week 2, Jason was the person who told Vanessa that Devon had the last laugh power, but Vanessa was fully convinced that Devon didn't have the power and that Jason was lying to her. The thing is, Jason was being 100% truthful with her, but Vanessa just didn't believe him. So most of the day before the veto ceremony was Vanessa running around the house like a chicken with her head cut off, trying to get to the bottom of this lie that A, didn't matter in the slightest to what was currently happening in the house, and B, wasn't even a lie. But long story short, Vanessa got Shelly, Clay, Austin, Liz, and Julia on board with the plan. She brought Steve in on it too, and she even got Becky on board. So, at the veto meeting, after Clay used the veto to save himself, Vanessa stood up and slashed open the Dark Moon Alliance by not naming Austin as the replacement, and instead nominating Jason, blindsiding him as well as Jackie, Meg, and James.
Jason, take a seat.
I adore Jason, but I did what was good for my game. It's just becoming clear what the cost is.
Apparently, this Dark Moon Alliance is a big bag of bullcrap.
Vanessa is making the ultimate betrayal. We all were played.
She already backdoored Jeff. Now she's putting up another one of my allies.
Vanessa's a scumbag bitch.
Now, there is absolutely no denying that Vanessa was making huge power moves in the game. But my goodness, was it putting her in treacherous waters. She couldn't continue being the sole person getting blood on her hands and expect to make it much further. So she made sure that she wasn't the sole person. Although she was aligned with Clay and Shelly, she wasn't going to let them skate through this week without taking some of the blame. So she made sure to let Meg and Jackie know that, hey, I'm really sorry I stayed the HOH and I made a decision that screwed you over, but just know that I would have never made this move if I didn't have other people in my ear telling me to do it. AKA Shelly and Clay. Although Vanessa was throwing her allies under the bus, this was definitely a spot where I feel like it was kind of necessary to do so, and I think Vanessa was smart for doing it.
If Shelly and Clay are trying to deny the fact that they knew Jason was going to be the replacement nominee, that puts a huge target on my back.
Vanessa, I'm just so hurt today. Did they know about this before?
Obviously. And I would never have done it if it weren't something that everybody wanted.
When I call Shelly out and she starts freaking out, I know 100% Shelly was on board with this, and that's shady as hell.
It's the house.
Like Shelly and Clay too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I actually think that's who
started it.
Also, just to make sure that there was still some other dissension in the house, and to make sure that she was still giving Steve key information so that he would continue to trust her, she shared with Steve that Jackie was planning on taking him out at one point in the beginning of the week.
So honestly, I don't care if he goes home. Some plan to either backdoor you or...
Why was I a target of Jackie's?
I do not know. I just know that you were her target.
Anyways, as for this round, Vanessa made sure that she had the votes locked in for Jason to leave before she had even nominated him, and the plan never swayed in the other direction. So, by a vote of 7-2, Jason was evicted from the Big Brother house.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Julie.
Please cast your vote to evict.
With respect, get to steppin'. Jason.
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 Becky.
Becky.
By a vote of 7-2, Jason, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
After Jason left, two things happened. Firstly, Julia entered the game as an individual, bringing the total number of players remaining back to 12. And secondly, Julie announced that the Battle of the Block Twist was now over, and from this point forwards, there would only be one HOH and 2 nominees per week. Oh, and also remember the BB Takeover twist? Big Brother just stopped implementing that after week 3 because there was too much going on. With that, even though we're still not at the jury stage, I feel like this is as good a time as ever to say that we can move on to the mid-game.
James, Meg, and Jackie can't win, because if they do, I'm almost sure that I'll end up on the block.
Going into the Week 6 HOH at the final 12, Vanessa needed one of her allies to win the competition. But for the first time this season, that didn't happen. And instead, James won the HOH. To make matters even worse, James had made a deal with Shelly while on the wall that kept both Shelly and Clay safe for the week, which pretty much felt like a guarantee that Vanessa was gonna be the target this round.
When Shelly makes a deal for her safety and Clay's safety, but totally neglects to include me, it solidifies my worst fear that I'm just not that important to Shelly in this game.
To be fair, Vanessa did just betray that entire side of the house, so it did make sense. But obviously, Vanessa wasn't just gonna roll over and die, she was gonna go and fight for her life with James. So she went up and gave her pitch to James, saying that even though she was the HOH last week, it was a group decision, not just her. And that at this point in the game, she felt like she was just a third wheel to Shelly and Clay. Vanessa didn't know it at the time, but the other side of the house actually seemed to blame Shelly and Clay more than Vanessa for Jason's eviction. So James was looking to go back on his word and target the couple over her. And Vanessa told him that she understood and she was okay with that. Just to further ensure that James didn't change his mind and target her though, Vanessa offered him a pretty juicy deal for safety up through the final 7, and James accepted.
Shelly's up there with you, and who'd she make a deal for? Clay, on the third wheel. In your shoes, it would be smarter for you to make a big move.
Vanessa's a straight shooter. She's never lied to me that I know of.
If one of them to go home, would you be against it?
Any other week, maybe I could try to save my allies, but this week, I'm so vulnerable.
It's not personal, that's game. If you don't put me up, you can also exclude one person from being put up on the block by me, in addition to yourself.
This would be so dumb of me not to take this safety.
It's a good deal.
What should have been a really rough week for Vanessa was starting to shape up to be kinda alright. And Vanessa was somehow looking safe for the week. At the nomination ceremony, James went back on his deal with Shelly and went straight for the kill by nominating her and Clay for eviction. But in the heat of the moment, Shelly kinda threw Vanessa under the bus, and Vanessa did not like that. She didn't want the two of them blaming her for their nomination, so Vanessa went and talked to Shelly and Clay to ask why they were being so mean to her.
Clay and I had absolutely nothing to do with Jason going up on the block last week. Fair game.
Throwing me under the bus was not only a bad personal move, but it was a bad game move. They're gonna need me.
Listen, I want you to know I'm loyal to Ben, and I didn't do anything.
Shelly's blaming me after she gets put on the block. How incredibly unfair.
I'm in the middle of saying that and you walk away pissed at me, like makes me feel like, look at me.
Your decision last week has already hurt our game because we're on the block.
My decision.
Vanessa.
Start a fight with me, fine. But let me tell you, no. I just can't stand people.
After that convo, Vanessa went to vent her frustrations in the backyard, where coincidentally, it seemed like literally everyone else in the house was hanging out. And even if her frustrations were real, I feel like this did a pretty good job of further separating Vanessa from the couple in the eyes of everyone else, ensuring that she wasn't gonna go down with their sinking ship.
I didn't even try to shift it to them. I took responsibility along with the rest of the people that decided that it was a better option.
Yeah. They're blaming it on you, and we're smarter than that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's the reason why I put them up on the block right there.
Now, crazily enough, after Shelly and Clay calmed down a bit, Shelly went and apologized to Vanessa for how she acted, blaming it on heat-of-the-moment emotions, and she basically begged Vanessa to help her through this situation. So, for those keeping track at home, Vanessa was somehow in good with every single person in the house after betraying like 7 different people on both sides of the house over the last 7 days. She was good.
I'm so sorry, you have me still.
I'm gonna need you so much.
I know, listen.
I'm willing to let it go, and maybe our alliance can survive the week.
It's been a little bit, so I feel like I should reiterate just how good of a position Vanessa was in. Even though the Sixth Sense alliance was basically falling apart, Vanessa was still in good with both factions. Austin, Liz, and Julia, who I might start calling the Aust twins from here on out, valued Vanessa as their de facto 4th member. Shelly and Clay still considered Vanessa to be their third member. Then we can't forget that Vanessa still had her final two deal with Steve. Now, with the other side of the house, Vanessa had her new deal with James, and for the most part, Jackie and Meg had forgiven Vanessa for the Jason move because they understood where she was coming from, and their sights were much more set on Clay and Shelly. Then there's Johnny Mac, who was just such a wild card, but had worked well with Vanessa in the past. This really only leaves Becky, who Vanessa had just worked with, but she was the lowest priority out of anyone in the house for Vanessa. So during this week, Vanessa came up with this idea where she was going to pitch to James to backdoor Becky this round in an attempt to keep both Clay and Shelly in the game. This pitch to James ended up going nowhere, and I'll be honest, I think Vanessa was way overplaying her hand here, and she's lucky that this didn't come back to bite her. Anyways, James went on to win the veto, and Vanessa got a punishment where she was tethered to Jackie for 24 hours and had to clean her suit of armor, which I found pretty funny.
If I feel like going to the bathroom, she has to go to the bathroom too.
At the veto ceremony, James didn't use the veto, ensuring that one of the couple would be leaving right before jury. Although Shelly was James's initial target, Vanessa wanted Shelly to stay because she acted as a better shield for her in the game. It certainly helped Vanessa's case that, out of nowhere, Clay started asking everyone to vote him out because he was being a knight in shining armor for Shelly. I don't really know what to tell you. Although the show kind of just presented it that everyone just accepted Clay asking to get evicted, that's not what happened at all. Vanessa had to work hard on securing the votes for Shelly to stay, leading up to the day of the eviction. And the decision to evict Clay wasn't made until just hours beforehand. Now, there are two other things that I want to mention this week before we actually get to the eviction. One, in order to further protect herself, Vanessa attempted to put together an alliance of 8, specifically for an upcoming double eviction. This group included Vanessa, Austin, Julia, Liz, James, Jackie, Meg, and Becky. And their goal was to evict whichever of Clay or Shelly survived this round, or Johnny Mac during the upcoming double eviction, with Steve being used as a pawn. Now, just to clarify, the house guests didn't know for sure if there was a double eviction coming up next, they kinda just assumed so. Anyways, the second thing I wanted to bring up was this weird altercation that happened between Vanessa, Clay, and Johnny Mac and sorta James. Basically, Johnny Mac had been quietly observing the game for a while, and he realized that Vanessa was kinda at the root of everything. So he shared his suspicions with Clay. Clay still felt a sense of loyalty to Vanessa though, so Clay told Vanessa what Johnny Mac had said. However, for some reason, Clay said that James was the one who told Johnny Mac this, which wasn't true. Clay just really biffed this game of telephone. Vanessa then confronted James about it, who obviously had no idea what she was talking about. And then this led to a bigger altercation where James and Clay started fighting. Then Johnny Mac literally told Vanessa that he was the one who came up with the idea that Vanessa was the root of everything. But Vanessa still didn't believe him because she didn't think he was capable of coming up with that thought on his own. This was some wild stuff and just the typical craziness that ensued with Vanessa in the house.
Did James tell you that I'm gunning for you?
No.
And who told you that?
I came up with that.
You came up with that?
Yeah.
You actually think I'm gunning for you and I'm in Shelly's head? Based on what? You and I both know you didn't come up with that on your own. And I'm so honestly confused.
This is nothing new. This is like the 6th time this has happened.
You're either gay lovers or you're related. Like, that's the only thing that makes any damn sense to me.
This has been a huge misunderstanding.
After James had his altercation with Clay, combined with Vanessa securing enough votes to save Shelly, the other side of the house eventually fell in line and gave up with the plan to try and keep Clay. So, by a vote of 9-0, Clay was evicted in 12th place. With that, the players went outside to compete in the final 11 HOH, and Julie announced that the jury phase of the game had officially begun.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hey, Julie, love the shades.
Thank you. Please cast your vote to evict.
Sadly, I vote to evict Clay.
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 Clay. Clay.
Clay.
Clay.
Clay.
By a vote of 9-0, Clay, you are evicted from the Big Brother house. From here on out, every evicted house guest will be headed to the jury house.
Going into this final 11 round, it was not a double eviction like a lot of the players were anticipating, and rather, it was a normal week with the slip and slide as the HOH comp. This competition was not something that Vanessa was very good at, and instead, Becky won the HOH. Vanessa was unsure about where Becky's head was fully at, but they had just made an alliance the other day, so hopefully she would stay true to that. Vanessa started getting even more worried though once she approached Becky to make a deal, and Becky just shut her down, saying that she was done with deals. That was very weird. But Vanessa knew that Becky just played the game very different than most people, and Becky assured her that the plan was just like they said it would be last week. She was going to nominate Shelly and Steve, with Shelly being the target, and if Shelly came off the block, then Johnny Mac would be the replacement.
Nothing complicated. Plans staying the same.
I'd like to make some kind of deal individually, you and I.
I'm done with deals. Don't even want to hear those words again in my life.
You don't like it?
No.
Gotcha.
Does Becky even know that we're in Big Brother? Like, what the? She doesn't want to talk about deals? I don't like Becky's game. Very likely I'm a target of hers in some fashion.
Vanessa was still feeling a little shaky, but her nerves settled down once the nomination ceremony came, and Becky did exactly as she said. Steve ended up winning the veto here, which just made Vanessa spiral again, as she thought that she might be the backdoor option. But Becky and James continued to assure her that she was safe, and they were sticking to their double eviction agreement from the week before.
So then what you're saying is I'm not going up?
No.
Okay.
Becky and I speak two different languages. I don't speak Becky, she doesn't speak Vanessa, but the good news is I'm gonna be here another week, bitches!
So, at the veto meeting, Steve used the veto to save himself, and just like Becky had said, she named Vanessa as the replacement nominee.
This has been a personal decision. Vanessa, you should be sitting on that seat today. When people needed you most, you dropped them like that.
I'm hurt because she gave her word and she broke it. She's doing it to the wrong person because I still have plays to make, so by no means count me out.
Vanessa had been paranoid all season long, and her paranoia was finally right this time. This whole plan to get Vanessa backdoored actually started the week before. The night before the veto meeting, the prior week, James, Jackie, Meg, and Becky realized that maybe Vanessa wasn't as innocent as she was claiming to be. Becky even coined her the Chameleon, since she figured out that Vanessa had a tendency to try and blend into whatever grouping made her the most safe from week to week. One week it's Clay and Shelly, the next week it's the Dark Moon people. Then, when Clay and Shelly were on the block, Vanessa ran right over to James's group and tried planning her routes with them. After having that conversation, James very seriously considered using the veto on Clay and putting up Vanessa, but ultimately he decided not to go through with that. However, they weren't just gonna forget about Vanessa, and the four of them agreed that next week, Vanessa was their target. So when Becky won the HOH this week, her plan from the very beginning was to backdoor Vanessa. And Becky thought that she had the 4 locked-in votes to make it happen, with Meg, Jackie, James, and Johnny Mac.
Last week, several of us agreed on Vanessa's plan to go after the remaining Clelly member. However, I have a different plan in mind.
It's gonna be Vanessa.
Oh, yeah. Sneaky.
Yeah, done. She's pissed enough people off. It's true. That's why she's so paranoid.
I really want to get Vanessa out this house. She's a chameleon in the grass.
We need to be in charge and not let anybody change or flip anything at the end.
Like, I've worked Black Friday. I know how to deal with Vanessa.
Vanessa, you're going home.
The odds were super stacked against Vanessa here. Only once in Big Brother history had a player survived a backdoor attempt. But Vanessa, of all people, knew that even with the odds against her, there was always a chance. So, just like every week, she went to work. Firstly, she wanted to understand Becky's reasoning for putting her up, so she confronted Becky. But that didn't go all too well.
Pointed your finger at me and said, "Do I have your word?" I felt like my word was being forced from me. I was pissed. I'm gonna end it here.
I don't understand why you're being so venomous. Like,
I just don't feel like explaining.
You're like cold-hearted person. You really are. Like, I don't understand.
Honestly, though, the reasoning didn't really matter, because all that actually mattered was getting the votes to survive. Vanessa felt like Austin and the twins would want to keep her, and she was right. So she considered those to be 3 locked votes for her. If Vanessa could rely on Steve's vote too, then all she would need was 1 more vote, and she could survive. However, Steve's vote turned out to not be a lock.
I have your vote right.
Vanessa's not staying this week no matter how I vote.
I don't want to burn any bridges with Shelly and John.
Sorry, Vanessa, I have to choose the ally who's staying in the house this week.
Wow, okay, so Steve totally just betrayed her there. For all intents and purposes, Vanessa actually had done a pretty decent job of making sure that Steve was never the next target, so she was bummed out that her final 2 deal with Steve didn't mean that much to him.
You understand what that pickle I'm in?
Not really. Steve was one of the votes that I thought I could count on in the house, and I'm very, very disappointed about it.
Anyways, this meant that she would need to convince Meg, Jackie, and James to keep her, and that was gonna be a really tough task. But luckily for her, she had some ammo on Becky. So Vanessa asked to speak with James, and she gave him her pitch. She sold out pretty much her entire alliance, saying that they all wanted James out a couple weeks ago. And then she mentioned that Becky was also on board. Becky had been a rat for Shelly and Clay and had told the couple a lot of information that James and his side had told her. And this was actually kind of true. James was able to cross-reference certain pieces of information with Vanessa that confirmed to him that she was sharing legitimate info. Vanessa also shared that Steve, Johnny Mac, and Shelly had formed a secret trio alliance because they knew they were in the middle and would be safe on all sides. And this too really worried James and his allies.
I knew I'm coming into this thing as the underdog and that I'm probably gonna go home this week, but maybe if I pitch James a solid enough reason, he'll go for it.
Every conversation you guys had up there, I was telling everything to Shelly and Clay. They are gonna put both of you up at the same time.
Becky.
With all of that being said though, the biggest help that Vanessa would get with James is the fact that he was already thinking about keeping her anyways. Unbeknownst to Vanessa, James, Meg, and Jackie were talking in the have-not room about how they felt that Shelly was targeting the 3 of them, whereas Vanessa would only target Becky, and they considered Shelly to be a much better physical competitor than Vanessa was. So when you take that and combine that with the information that Vanessa had given them, they were not only realizing how much better it was for their personal gains to evict Shelly over Vanessa, but they were also starting to not trust Becky as much, and were questioning why they were helping her get rid of Vanessa in the first place.
If we send Vanessa home, Shelly wins, he goes home.
I knew there was a rat in the group. Now it makes me wonder even why I want to support Becky and do her bidding for her game.
Shelly needs to go.
Just one day prior, it felt like a guarantee that Vanessa was going to be evicted. But just 24 hours later, things had changed. Magically, the ball had started rolling, and James, Meg, and even Jackie were now flipping their votes against Shelly in favor of keeping Vanessa. I feel like I really need to emphasize that this does not happen often in Big Brother. People just don't survive backdoor attempts. But here Vanessa was, somehow gaining momentum while at her lowest point in the game. Throughout these next couple of days, Becky campaigned hard for Vanessa to remain the target, but her talking points were falling on deaf ears. People didn't really care that Vanessa was going to go after Becky because all that meant was that Vanessa wasn't coming after them. Johnny Mac was really the only one still on board with Becky's plan, but even he backed down once he realized that everyone else had jumped ship. So when eviction night came, it was almost as if Vanessa hadn't even been nominated. By a unanimous vote of 8-0, Shelly was evicted from the Big Brother house, and she became the first member of the jury.
Hi, John.
What do you want?
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict Shelly.
Shelly.
By a vote of 8-0, Vanessa, you are safe. Shelly, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
Wow. I cannot believe Vanessa survived this eviction, let alone unanimously. Although you could argue that there was some luck involved here, in the sense that James, Meg, and Jackie had come to their own conclusion about maybe keeping Vanessa before she had even given her pitch to them. Vanessa had Austin, Liz, and Julia campaigning to keep her for pretty much the entire week, and that is a testament to the loyalty that she had instilled in those three. Of all of Vanessa's legitimate allies, Steve was the only one who went rogue, because he seemed to be terrified of the idea of voting against the house and exposing his loyalties and positioning. Overall, losing Shelly may have seemed like a bit of a hit to Vanessa's game, but clearly the alternative was not a viable option, so it was what had to be done. Right before the voting took place, though, Julie announced that whoever was evicted might not be out of the game fully, indicating to everyone that a battle back would more than likely take place after the final 8 eviction. And now, finally, after weeks and weeks of speculation, it was time for the first double eviction of the summer. Within the next 40 minutes, another house guest was to be evicted.
Everyone understand?
Yes.
Good, then let's begin.
Going into this HOH competition, at the final 10, Vanessa was gunning for the win. She had an easy target in Becky and a decent backup target in Johnny Mac. Ultimately, she didn't pull out the win, but she did get a very interesting result once Steve won the HOH. Although Vanessa had this final 2 deal with Steve, he had so easily turned his back on her a couple days ago when he thought she didn't have the numbers. And with pretty much no time to talk game with Steve, Vanessa had no idea what he was going to do. But Vanessa was blessed when Steve stood up to make his nominations, and he nominated Jackie and Mac. Johnny Mac ended up winning the veto for the 3rd time this season, but he chose not to use it, leaving the nominations the same. Out of everyone in the house, Vanessa had probably burned Jackie the most throughout the game. And since she also just so happened to be Becky's best friend, she was the perfect person to send home. Meg, similar to Johnny Mac, was an easy pawn in this situation, and it was clear that she wasn't the target here. So, a few minutes later, Vanessa cast her vote to evict Jackie, and by a vote of 6-1, Jackie was evicted in 10th place.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hi, Julie.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict Jackie.
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 Meg.
By a vote of 6-1, Jackie, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
Well, that was quick, but there's still a lot we gotta go over. Why did Steve target Jackie of all people? Well, out of everyone in the house, there was only one person who he had heard was concretely attempting to target him at one point, which was Jackie. And do you remember who told Steve this? Vanessa, all the way back in week 5.
And Jackie's the only one who I've heard anything about raiding conspiracies against me.
So, in a way, Vanessa was kind of responsible for Jackie's quick demise here, because of the information she shared with Steve 19 days earlier. But I think it goes deeper than that. Even though Steve was in the Freaks and Geeks alliance with Vanessa, Austin, Liz, and Julia, Vanessa was by far the main person that actually put in loads of work with Steve. If you take Vanessa out of the equation, I highly doubt that Steve stays loyal to that group during the double eviction, and he probably would have nominated the twins instead. So, I think Vanessa deserves a ton of credit for forming and maintaining her bond with Steve, because it saved all of their butts during this double eviction.
What's wrong? No, I know. None of us do. It's not okay. You're gonna be okay, Steve. You're gonna be okay.
Oh, I should also probably mention that they had to rename the Freaks and Geeks Alliance to the Scamper Squad around this time, because the show realized they couldn't actually air their original alliance name without copyright infringement or something like that, due to it being the name of a popular television show.
Myself, Liz, Julia, Vanessa, and Steve, we want to call ourselves the Scamper Squad.
Also, now is as good a time as ever to mention the fact that although Liz didn't like Austin on a romantic level initially, and she was just flirting with him for game reasons, it's at around this time that Liz genuinely started to form romantic feelings for Austin. Okay, back to the game. This had been an absolutely bonkers week for Vanessa, but when all was said and done, Shelly was gone, Jackie was gone, and Vanessa was still there. But her work wasn't done yet, because Becky was still in the game. So, going into the final 9, Vanessa was ready to continue riding this momentum and hopefully land back on top once again.
I feel like I'm beating the odds right now. Not only did I survive an eviction where I was put up as the backdoor target, but I also managed to survive a double eviction.
Now, even though the house had been pretty fluid and had mostly come together for the last bunch of votes, we're back at the point where there was a clear line in the sand. On one side, there was Vanessa and the Ost twins, and on the other side, there was James, Meg, and now Becky again. In the middle, once more, was Steve and Johnny Mac, but Steve had just shown his cards that he was leaning towards Vanessa's side, whereas Johnny Mac was leaning towards James's side. While Vanessa was stoked to have survived past the double, she was not out of danger yet. Unbeknownst to her, Steve had slyly told James, Meg, and Becky that Vanessa had gotten into his head and manipulated him into evicting Jackie.
We know where this whole idea came from.
If you had to guess, you'd probably be right.
So, just like always, those 3 were targeting Vanessa, and Johnny Mac was thinking about it too. So, heading into this next HOH comp, it was imperative that Vanessa or the Ost twins won this HOH. In a back and forth battle, the final round came down to Johnny Mac and Liz, and the winner ended up being Liz. Oh my god, what a perfect outcome for Vanessa. She had so much influence over Liz, and she knew that she could pretty easily direct Liz in whatever direction she wanted. Liz had already mentioned that Becky was on her radar, which was music to Vanessa's ears. She pushed for Liz to nominate Becky and Johnny Mac, with Johnny Mac as the pawn. And wouldn't you know it, Liz nominated Becky and Johnny Mac. This was shaping up to be the smoothest and easiest week yet for Vanessa. But naturally, I'm not allowed to have an easy breezy week to explain to you all, and something major was going on behind the scenes. Before we get to that though, there's another Vanessa confrontation we got to address. Before the nominations, Vanessa went to go and try and make a new deal with Johnny Mac, because all Vanessa did in this game was be paranoid and make deals. During this deal-making session though, things went sideways, and Johnny Mac opened up about how he felt that Vanessa had bullied him during that Clay, Johnny Mac, James confrontation that happened just before Clay's eviction. Instead of hearing Johnny Mac out and empathizing with him, Vanessa got offended and vehemently denied bullying anyone. And I'm gonna be honest here, Vanessa was definitely in the wrong, especially because Johnny Mac was sharing how he personally felt. Clearly though, that didn't matter to Vanessa, and all this ended up doing was maddening her and having her switch her target from Becky over to Johnny Mac.
Let's talk.
Johnny's someone that I would love to work with in the house.
The whole fight there, I felt like I was bullied at the time.
Oh, you felt I was bullying you?
Yeah.
You're using a word like bully directed at me.
Yeah.
That worries me.
I don't like when you cry and yell at people.
I'm trying to pull him into an alliance, but he is doing his best to make sure I want to target him.
Ultimately though, by the end of the week, there was a chance that neither of them would end up being the real target, because there were talks about potentially backdooring Vanessa here. Earlier that day, Becky was upstairs talking with the Ost twins, and she aired out all the dirty laundry she had on Vanessa, particularly about her involvement in what went down with the Austin backdoor plan during week 5. Now, Liz and Austin clearly knew that Vanessa had some involvement in what went down, but they didn't know just how involved she was. And knowing that she was a part of the initial plan to throw Liz on the block and backdoor Austin was enough for them to genuinely lose trust in her. So much so that they considered making a huge move this week in backdooring Vanessa.
And Vanessa knew about that, right?
Yes.
I cannot believe the things that I am hearing about Vanessa.
I had no clue that she was actually planning my entire demise.
If you don't serve a benefit, you can be backdoored at any second.
After what Becky said, I am just a little suspect of Vanessa, and I don't know what to believe anymore.
Liz ended up winning the veto as well, meaning that she had the power to do whatever she wanted. James, Meg, Becky, Johnny Mac, Austin, and Julia were all relatively on board to backdoor Vanessa here. That was pretty much the entirety of the house. But luckily for Vanessa, Liz was scared to pull the trigger. Backdooring Vanessa was a huge move that already failed once, and Liz didn't want to be the one to send Vanessa home. So without Vanessa even realizing that her back was once again pinned to the wall, she was spared, but only for a week, because the majority of the house planned on taking out Vanessa the very next round. Anyways, Liz ended up not using the veto, securing Vanessa's safety for the round and locking in the nominees.
This week was not the time to backdoor Vanessa. Since everyone else is targeting Vanessa, I'm gonna let someone else do my dirty work.
Although Vanessa did want Johnny Mac to go at one point, Liz was pretty set on Becky leaving, and Vanessa was ultimately okay with that decision. Throughout this week, Vanessa spent a lot of time trying to reconcile with Johnny Mac, or at least find a middle ground so that he wasn't targeting her moving forwards. But my goodness, was it a struggle. Steve tried his best to help out because they were his two closest allies, and he didn't want them gunning for each other. And by the end of the week, things seemed to be good between the two of them. When eviction night came, everyone voted against Becky, and she was evicted in 9th place.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hi, Julie.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict Becky.
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 By a vote of 6-0, Becky, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
Becky, on a human level, you're a wonderful girl, but on a game level, you tried to send me home last week, so I can't say that I'm sorry to see you go.
Fair enough, fair enough.
All things considered, Vanessa felt like she was in an okay spot. Becky was gone. She still had the Scamper Squad, and she had this tentative new bond with Johnny Mac. The only people she had to be worried about winning the HOH were Meg and James. Unfortunately for Vanessa, though, her thoughts couldn't be further from the truth. With the way things looked, everyone other than Steve was on board to get Vanessa out this next round. They were sick of her constant attempts to make deals, and how she always preached that she was loyal and always honest, and how she always managed to sneak her way into the good graces of the HOH. The Oz twins and Johnny Mac made sure to keep Vanessa happy all week long so that she wouldn't get paranoid or suspicious. But her gig was up. Vanessa needed to win something this week, or she was toast. And she had absolutely no idea.
Vanessa is the big enemy in the house this week.
I can get my target, Vanessa, out of this game, possibly for good.
The final 8 HOH was all about speed, which wasn't the type of competition that Vanessa was going to win, and in the end, Austin won. Vanessa was stoked to see one of her closest allies win power, but as you already know, there were other plans afoot this week. Vanessa immediately tried putting her 2 cents in about backdooring Johnny Mac, and she revealed to him that before Shelly was evicted, Shelly told her that Steve and Johnny Mac had a final 2. Honestly, though, this was another misfire from Vanessa, and it just made Austin even more suspicious of her.
This information means nothing to me, but the fact that Vanessa didn't tell me sooner means either A, she's lying, or B, she's not telling me everything that she's doing in this house.
Austin had made a deal to keep Meg and James safe this week, which Vanessa learned about, and up in the HOH room with the Scamper Squad, Austin made it clear that his target was Johnny Mac.
I'm telling Vanessa that my target is Johnny Mac, and that's a half-truth. However, I also might want to target her.
In order to do that, he needed a pawn to sit next to him, and Vanessa very quickly deduced that either herself or Steve would need to be the pawn. Although at one point Vanessa actually offered herself up as a pawn, she did backtrack after thinking about it and spent a lot of time trying to convince Steve to be okay with being the pawn. The thing is, Steve was not okay with being the pawn, but Vanessa wasn't really taking that as an answer. This really pissed off Steve though, to the point that Steve privately said to Austin, "Yeah, I'm cool with you taking out Vanessa now."
I would do it. Here would be the problem. It would require you agreeing to vote against Johnny Mac if it came down to it. See what I'm saying?
I do.
Vanessa, I don't want to do this, will you please stop putting me in this position?
She's good. She already decided I was going up before she walked in the door.
Yep.
While we're on the subject, I should mention that Steve wasn't the only person that Vanessa upset here. During this conversation, the week 5 backdooring of Austin situation was brought up, and instead of taking accountability for it, Vanessa threw it back in Austin's face and said that it was his fault that he almost went home that week, and that she didn't know the entirety of the plan, which she did. At this point, Austin was livid, and after Vanessa left the room, he seemed ready to evict her right then and there. While I think Vanessa is an exceptional strategic player, and the plans and reasoning she comes up with for why certain people should be targeted is more than often genius, we got to accept the fact that her social game is absolutely abysmal sometimes. And this right here is a prime example of that.
I hurt my own game in such a big way to keep you here. But granted, that was on you, and you know that.
Was it? Okay. Vanessa, I can't trust you anymore.
Oh, jeez. She's really gonna stand here when I'm HOH and say I deserve to be backdoored?
I'm livid at Vanessa right now. I'm willing to do what I need to do. Welcome to the Imaginarium, Vanessa.
As things stood, Vanessa should have been a goner. Everyone in the house was seemingly cool with taking her out, and she was still in the dark about it all. But somehow, there remained one shining light for her. Well, 2 shining lights, because it was the twins. After Austin had won the HOH, Julia started thinking, and she realized that it really made no sense for them to take out Vanessa. Why do the other side's dirty work, especially since Julia felt that, at least for now, Vanessa was on their side? Julia then spent a bunch of time talking to Liz, trying to get her to convince Austin to see why it wasn't smart to go after Vanessa. But Liz was hesitant that she would be able to change Austin's mind. But you know who is good at changing people's minds? Vanessa. Liz was sitting in a room with Austin and Steve, where Austin was once again asking Steve to play ball and just agree to be a pawn next to Johnny Mac. But Steve refused to agree to it, and this was really annoying Austin. Liz went down and informed Vanessa about Steve's continued refusals, and this gave Vanessa an opening to ensure that Steve went up instead of herself. She got up to the HOH room and just completely sold Steve to the wolves, saying that he had never done anything to protect Austin in the game, whereas Vanessa totally had, and she declared her loyalty full force to Austin here. Honestly, this was a nice mirror image that the two of them had when Vanessa almost backdoored Austin. She came clean about knowing everything from week 5 and admitted that she made a mistake, but that she was loyal to him and she will continue to do so, and that she's so sorry.
I better get up to the HOH room, handle things with Austin, or I'm gonna be the one going up as a pawn.
Did you know that James was the thrower with Liz?
Yes.
So you did know? Okay.
Yes, I did know.
Okay.
I thought that you were working against me. That's what I thought. I
know,
felt
we had
terrible.
an amazing moment.
I made a mistake. I am so sorry. All I can do is give you my word I'm loyal to you. I understand. Okay. I understand.
It was a compelling pitch, I gotta hand it to her, and it came at just the right time. Because literally, right when their conversation ended, Austin had to go make his nominations. Everyone gathered in the kitchen, and Austin revealed his choices: Johnny Mac and Steve. For the time being, Vanessa had done enough, and she was safe.
I am shocked. I really thought I was going up, but Austin and I do have each other's back and have come very far together in this game.
Now, Austin was still considering the option to backdoor Vanessa if the veto ended up being used, but he was considering it way less than he had just 24 hours prior. And I have to give Vanessa credit for this. Her social game was bad, but her overall game was still good. Very good. Anyways, after being put on the block, Steve was surprisingly in good spirits, and he and Vanessa made up and tried not to let their tiff this week get in the way of their season-long connection.
I am in awe of Vanessa not going up today. Vanessa is a phenomenal player, and I have to applaud her. I want to start being nice to her again, and I do really want to rebuild this relationship with Vanessa.
Now, even though Vanessa wasn't on the block, she was not feeling safe. So going into the veto competition, she felt she absolutely had to win it. This was the Face Morph Challenge, where you need to figure out which 3 house guest faces were mashed together in one, and Vanessa absolutely smoked this competition, and she won the power of veto.
Play.
She crushed it.
Yeah. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. Oh yeah. Another one of these.
This felt like the single most important win of hers yet. After numerous rounds of feeling extremely paranoid, and rightfully so, Vanessa finally had immunity once more, and a backdoor of her was now impossible. Now, I really wish that I could just jump to the veto ceremony and the eviction, but so much back and forth nonsense goes down before the veto meeting that I feel like I have to mention, but at the same time, it doesn't even end up amounting to that much long term, and I'm starting to get the idea of why exactly it was so hard and exhausting to play the game of Big Brother with Vanessa. So here is my 4-minute recap of mostly everything that went down from before the veto meeting until the eviction. Although I am skipping some things that I deem aren't that important in the interest of time. Okay. So, after winning the veto, Vanessa noticed that Meg was crying more than she should have, which set off a new wave of paranoia in Vanessa's head that Meg would only be crying this much if she knew that there was a plan to backdoor Vanessa that was now impossible. So, Vanessa goes around the house cornering some people and asking them if they knew about a plan to backdoor her, to which most people say no, but eventually, Johnny Mac, who knew he had nothing to lose now that he had lost the veto, told Vanessa that the week before, Austin, Liz, Julia, Steve, and himself had made a 5-person alliance with the goal being to backdoor Vanessa either last week or this week. Vanessa then asked Liz if this was true, and Liz said it was, but that Steve had orchestrated the whole thing and that she never actually wanted to do it. So now Vanessa goes and confronts Steve, who is completely overwhelmed by her onslaught, and he doesn't do a great job defending himself. To which Vanessa is like, "Caught you in a lie, I'm voting against you, bye-bye." Funnily enough, the veto meeting was held immediately after this, and Vanessa dug into Steve during her speech and then didn't use the veto on either of them. At this point, Vanessa was ready to vote out Steve, but she was just super hot at the moment and she recognized that. Later that night, Vanessa grilled Steve for roughly 45 minutes, trying to get him to admit to any lies and wrongdoings he had done in the game, and sort of just refusing to take any answer that didn't sit right with her. Eventually, she gassed Steve out, and he was like, "Okay, you were fully right and I was fully wrong, and I am so sorry," just to get it to stop. And at this point, Vanessa said that she forgave him. Because Johnny Mac had added the fact that they had a secret 5-person agreement, Austin and the twins wanted him evicted even more now than before, and Vanessa swore to the twins that she would vote with them.
We had a 5-person alliance to get you out.
It's just that Vanessa, it's apparent that she's willing to do anything to win this game.
I thought you knew about this already.
Was there a 5-person alliance?
I mean, okay, yeah. It was Steve's idea.
Whose idea was it? Was it you?
No.
You could at least have the balls to admit it.
No.
What?
Wait, I'm sorry.
They wanted to get me out and you were working with them, dude. No. I'd be breathing heavy too if I were you. Goodbye. It's a terrible feeling to find out that the whole house wanted you out, but it's kind of a good moment when you have the last laugh. You never told me there was any alliance. Do you not know why I'm even mad? Do you not even know what I know?
No, I missed that part.
Oh, well, that's a pretty important part. No,
Whether...
what I'm mad about is the two-faced. It's rotten.
I want to apologize to you for hurting you.
I can be a logical person and whatever, do the best I can to forgive.
So, the votes were then locked in for Steve to stay, and Johnny Mac was on his way out of the house. However, everyone knew that a battle back was going to happen after this eviction, meaning that whoever was evicted theoretically could come right back into the house. Earlier in the week, Johnny Mac and Vanessa had a sit-down where they both extended an olive branch towards each other. John admitted that he had been coming after her for the last couple of weeks, but all of his friends had been evicted and he was alone in the house, so clearly his approach wasn't working. So the two of them sat down again before the eviction, and they came to an agreement. If Johnny Mac were to return to the game, then the two of them would officially, secretly align together, and all I'm thinking is, how does Vanessa continuously get everyone to work with her?
Vanessa, I've lost friend after friend after friend. I'm alone. You and I might be like the biggest enemies in the house, but
it's so stupid for us
to keep going at each other.
Yeah, yes.
I could use just about anyone right now.
Are you legitimately open to working with me when you come back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going after them no matter what.
Okay.
Anyways, when eviction night came, everything went exactly as planned. By a unanimous vote of 5-0, Johnny Mac was evicted from the Big Brother house. Although he did walk out the front door, he wasn't gone for too long, because a couple minutes later, he, alongside the first 3 jurors, came back into the house, and everyone went into the backyard to compete in the next HOH competition.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hey, Julie.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict Johnny Mac.
Johnny Mac.
Johnny Mac.
John.
John.
By a vote of 5-0, John, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
Johnny Mac, we were pitted against each other for quite a while in this game, but this week we started from scratch. I genuinely believe that we could work together moving forward.
This endurance competition acted as the next HOH and the Battle Back Challenge. Whichever juror was the last juror on their spinny disc would re-enter the game, and the last person in general would become the final 8 HOH. Usually, this challenge would go for hours on end, but someone on the design team must have messed something up, because everyone was dropping like flies. After less than 10 minutes, 5 of the players and 3 of the jurors had fallen off, and Johnny Mac, the player who was just evicted, re-entered the game as a player. This meant that the entire last week was for nothing. Anyways, Vanessa held on tight, desperately wanting her third HOH. The competition came down to just Vanessa and Johnny Mac, and this already put Vanessa in a good position because of the new agreement that she had with him. She offered him a deal so that she could win the HOH, but Johnny Mac declined because he wanted to hide the fact that they were working together. Even so, just a few seconds later, he ended up falling, crowning Vanessa the new HOH.
You're safe. I can go for a long time.
I'm ready to flip this house on its head, completely redraw lines, and anything's fair game.
Just so we're clear, Vanessa went from being a backdoor target for arguably 3 weeks in a row now, to not just being the new HOH, but to having like 5 allies that were actually loyal to her. The Oz twins were back on board the Vanessa train, which is saying a lot after last week. Vanessa then went to Johnny Mac to confirm that they were actually good, to which Johnny Mac gave her genuine reassurances that he was. And lastly, there was Steve. And the two of them had fully reconciled from the prior couple weeks of mayhem, and Vanessa confirmed to him that they were partners in this thing.
I'd be happy to help, I just want to make sure.
Oh, no. We're partners. Like I told you, your opinion matters to you more than anything.
At this point, Vanessa brought up the idea of forming a 3-person alliance with Steve and Johnny Mac, and I'm genuinely still in disbelief that Vanessa was able to spin all of these people back over to her side, especially considering the fact that she was the de facto numero uno target for the entire house at the start of the prior round.
By creating this side alliance with Johnny Mac and Steve puts me in a much more favorable position than I was coming in.
Now that Vanessa was sure that she had all of her ducks in a row, she was ready to plan for the week. The only 2 people she wasn't working with were James and Meg, and that made her nominations extremely easy. So she nominated the 2 of them, even though she was technically breaking a deal she had made with James in week 6, but oh well, who cares? Vanessa had probably broken 40 deals at this point, just due to the fact that she had 250 of them.
It is a game move. If nothing else, it's a chess move. I won't hesitate to put a king in check, and a king isn't worth much without his queen.
Anyways, James was Vanessa's main target due to his competition ability, but James went on to win the veto, which changed everything. Meg was by default her new target, but she needed a replacement nominee, and her only options were her 5 allies. With only 5 voters this week, Vanessa needed to figure out who she could put up to ensure that that person stayed and Meg was evicted. But this was a very difficult puzzle to solve. The Oz twins wanted Johnny Mac gone badly. So Vanessa knew that if she put John up, he was getting evicted. If she put Steve up, the Oz twins could very well just evict Steve too, and that also wasn't good for Vanessa. Austin and Liz were 2 big threats in their own right, and if they went up on the block, Steve and Johnny Mac might be too tempted to take them out and keep Meg around as well. So the only person that naturally made logical sense to nominate was Julia. Julia was not a threat in this game. She had yet to win a competition, and everyone kinda knew that if Julia was sitting in the final 2, then she was probably gonna lose. If Julia was on the block, Vanessa knew that Austin and Liz would vote to keep her, and Steve and Johnny Mac both promised that they would keep her too. So Julia looked to be the only person that could survive the vote next to Meg. It took a bit of convincing, but the Oz twins eventually agreed that it was the most logical move if Vanessa really wanted Meg gone. which he did. So, at the veto ceremony, James took himself off the block, and Vanessa named Julia the replacement. Now that she had proven herself to Johnny Mac by actually keeping him out of danger, the two of them made a final 2 deal. So just add that one next to her final 2 deals with Austin and Steve.
This week, I went against Austin and the twins. They really wanted you to go up.
I am down final 2 with you.
Ditto.
This is the only thing that works for me right now.
Aren't we close?
The end is near.
Now, before the eviction, Steve approached Vanessa with an interesting thought. If they went to the final 5 with the Scamper Squad, they were the odd 2 out. However, if they voted out Julia, then they could team up with Meg and James, and then they could feasibly make it to the final 2 together. Vanessa knew that going to the final 5 with the Ost twins fully intact was not something she could allow, but she also knew that, no matter what, James and Meg were not going to work with her. So this wasn't the time to break up the trio.
The twins need to be split up, because Scamper to the final 5 doesn't put us in the final 2.
The thing is that leaving Meg and James is very risky for our game. We can't do it. And if you think Meg and James are going to pick to work with us, you've lost your mind.
Luckily for her, she was able to talk Steve out of flipping this vote. And even though Steve and Johnny Mac seriously considered taking Julia out anyways, they eventually relented and stuck with the plan. When eviction night came, the votes landed how they were expected to go. And by a vote of 4-1, Meg was evicted from the Big Brother house.
Hi, John.
Hi, lady.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict Meg.
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 Julia.
By a vote of 4-1, Meg, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
This week could have been a really messy one for Vanessa had she put the wrong person up as James's replacement. But I think Vanessa made the best decisions she could have given the information that she had. And going into this next round, the only person targeting her was James. However, things got a whole lot more pressure-filled once Julie revealed that the night wasn't over just yet. It was time for the second double eviction of the summer.
My head is totally spinning. I don't even know what just happened. What just happened?
As the prior HOH, Vanessa had to sit out of the competition and just pray that James didn't win it. Thankfully, James was the first person eliminated from the comp, and Liz won the HOH instead. Now, I would have assumed that Liz would want to target Johnny Mac here, but for whatever reason, she wanted to target James, which was perfect for Vanessa. Liz nominated James and Johnny Mac for eviction, with John as a pawn, and once Julia won the veto and kept nominations the same, James's fate was locked in. Before you knew it, everyone went and cast their votes, and by a vote of 4-0, James was evicted in 7th place.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hey, Julie.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict James.
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 By a vote of 4-0, James, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
This double eviction went just about as perfectly as it could have for Vanessa. It did not make sense for the Ostwins to keep Johnny Mac here, but for whatever reason, they did, and James was gone. It had been a long few weeks in the Big Brother house, but Vanessa had made it to the end game, and she had her sights set on the finals.
James, my #1 target left in the house, goes home, and yeah, I like my situation.
Heading into the final 6, Vanessa had perfectly positioned herself between the two groups. If the Ostwins trio won the HOH, then they would have to go after the duo of Johnny Mac and Steve. And if Johnny Mac or Steve won the HOH, then they'd have to go after the Ostwins trio. It was a perfect position to be in order to survive this final 6 round without needing to win immunity. Between the two groups, though, Vanessa definitely had a preference.
It is absolutely essential that Austin and the twins get broken up.
She needed Johnny Mac or Steve to win this. As I mentioned before, Vanessa knew that going to the final 5 with the Ost twins fully intact was not feasible. One of them had to go home. So, going into the final 6 HOH, Vanessa desperately wanted Austin and Julia to lose. And wouldn't you know it, the competition ended up coming down to Steve and Johnny Mac.
Julia goes out, and I never act excited ever, because in poker, you're taught not to celebrate. But I'm actually really, really happy. Woo!
In the end, Johnny Mac threw the final round to Steve, and Steve became the final 6 HOH.
Now that Steve's HOH, he's gonna go after Austin and the twins, and I should be sitting pretty between 2 duos that are likely targeting each other, not me.
Vanessa feigned being upset when she was with the twins, but as I said, she was secretly stoked because she knew that Steve was going to keep her safe, and Vanessa knew the perfect way for Steve to go after the trio. In order to best maximize the odds of one of the trio going home, Steve had to keep the weakest member off of the block. Because if whichever of the 3 of them was off the block won the veto, they could then save someone on the block, force Steve to nominate either Vanessa or Johnny Mac, and then that trio would have the votes to evict whoever went up. So, by keeping Julia off the block, who was the competitive weakest of the 3, it would not only maximize their chances of getting someone out from the trio, but it would also maximize Vanessa's own chances of survival. Vanessa explained all of this to Steve, and even though Steve wanted to nominate the twins straight up, Vanessa's argument made sound sense, and Steve eventually agreed.
He's gonna take down Liz. Johnny Ryan's going home. You have to leave the weakest of the 3 off the block.
Julia?
You have to go with this majority here.
So, at the nomination ceremony, Steve nominated Austin and Liz for eviction. Going into the veto competition, it was imperative that Julia didn't win. Unfortunately, the veto was Ballerina, which, if things played out in a certain way, could allow for Austin and Liz to successfully throw the competition to Julia. Liz eliminated Steve in the first round, which was not a good start, and then it was Julia's turn to pick an opponent. In this moment, though, Julia made the single most crucial mistake she could have. She asked Vanessa for advice. In a split second, Vanessa ran through all the scenarios in her head, and she came up with the best possible name: Austin.
Wow. Oh my God, Vanessa, if you pull this off, you're a genius.
Julia questioned it at first, but Vanessa gave really sound reasoning for why picking Austin was the best move for Julia and Liz's survival. So Julia stood up and she picked
Austin.
Somehow, in like 3 seconds, Vanessa erased all the planning that the Oz twins had done leading up to the veto, and Austin became beyond paranoid that there was some deeper plan to eliminate him from the competition. So, rather than throwing it to Julia, Austin beat her, which eliminated her from contention and effectively guaranteed Vanessa's safety for the week. Austin then went on to win the veto to secure his own safety, but the damage had already been done, and the twins were gonna lose a number this week. Following the veto comp, Austin, Liz, and Julia gathered together and realized that Vanessa had played them for her own safety. But when she was confronted about it, Vanessa spewed out as much damage control as she could possibly get and tried to turn the tables onto Austin by claiming that he never would have actually thrown it to Julia because he actually wanted Julia gone this week. Vanessa's quick thinking and ability to convince others of damn near everything was astounding. And I remember watching in real time thinking that there was absolutely no way she was getting away with this. But then she did. Instead of being mad with her, the twins were mad at Austin. How does this happen?
Dude, Vanessa, I know you think you have a good point, but what she did was so stupid. Like,
I'm a game theory expert. I'm
I
telling
know,
you,
but
he wouldn't have thrown even if he said he would have. I was looking out for you guys. This is the worst case scenario. I
was genuinely looking out for you.
We can't win going to final 3 with you guys. Do you not see that? If he was going to throw it to you, why didn't he throw it to you?
Wait, yeah, that's
He
true.
could have thrown it to you. Why didn't he?
He wasn't gonna throw it to me, Liz. Well, let me just tell you, I learned a lot today. I learned that he's no Clay. I just literally just want to like never talk to him again.
Anyways, Austin used the veto to save himself, and Steve named Julia as the replacement. Initially, Vanessa wanted to evict Liz, knowing that she was the linchpin that connected Austin and Julia together, and getting rid of Liz would cause the two of them to separate even further. However, things began to change throughout the week. Liz and Julia decided amongst themselves that they wanted Liz to stay in the game because Liz had a shot to win, whereas Julia didn't. And eventually, Steve and Vanessa agreed that they were okay with letting the twins be the ones to decide who should get evicted. Now, normally, I wouldn't be that enthusiastic about this type of decision making because you could be getting the inoptimal choice by letting the twins decide it. But Vanessa made the most of it, and she made sure to strike up a deal with Austin and Liz, saying that she would be on board to keep Liz, but only if they agreed to 3 terms of hers.
Part 1, if either of you win HOH, then I'm staying and going to Final Four with you guys.
100%.
The second part of the deal is it gets to be my call which one stays. And my third thing is if I end up in Final 3 without the other one there, that you're going to choose me to go to finals.
Classic Vanessa, always making deals no matter what the situation was, but she definitely asked for too much this time. Anyways, when eviction night came, the house gave the twins what they wanted, and by a vote of 3-0, Julia was evicted in 6th place.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hi, Julie.
Please cast your vote to evict.
Sadly, I vote to evict Julia.
Julia.
Julia!
By a vote of 3-0, Julia, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
Going into the final 5, Vanessa found herself positioned perfectly between the 2 duos, which would theoretically put her in a perfect spot to throw power to someone else. However, even though she knew it was almost a guarantee that she wouldn't see the block initially, she was also aware of the fact that by being the 3rd member to 2 duos, she would see the block if the wrong person won the veto. So, not wanting to leave anything to chance, she was gunning for this HOH. This competition was an extremely tight battle between Vanessa, Johnny Mac, and Austin, as the 3 of them raced to transfer 10 eggs across their rainbows. But, in the end, Vanessa won the HOH.
Damn! You don't even have to hug me, I'm so disgusting. I can't even move my arms.
This was her 4th HOH win of the season, which tied her for the single season record, and it guaranteed her safety for the week and a spot in the Final 4. While that was all great, this did put Vanessa in a really tight pickle. Is that the saying? In a tight pickle? Yeah, that's fine. She had been able to play the middle of these 2 groups successfully since her last HOH at the Final 8, but now she was going to be forced to pick a side.
Although I'm secure for the week, I'm now sitting in the middle of 2 alliances. It's time for me to choose a side.
So she started walking throughout the house and asking each player what deals they made with everyone else going into this Final 5 round, in order to see if she could catch anyone in a lie and give her justification to nominate them. Even though this was a classic Vanessa move, it was working. Everyone was spilling all of the deals they had made going into this round, which gave Vanessa a wealth of information. After talking to everyone and going through the scenarios, this is the conclusion that Vanessa came to. Johnny Mac had the least incentive to actually bring her to the finale. He was close with Steve, and he and she had worked together for the shortest amount of time. Also, Vanessa figured that since Johnny Mac had already been evicted and had never won an HOH, he was the least likely player to win in the final 2. That worried Vanessa a lot, because why would Steve take Vanessa to the final 2 if Johnny Mac was also there and he was a much easier player to beat? Steve was a smart and calculated boy, so Vanessa didn't want Steve to even have that temptation. By getting rid of Johnny Mac, Vanessa not only destroys that opportunity, but it also theoretically forces Steve's hand to be fully loyal to Vanessa, because he would have no other allies left in the house. Vanessa, of course, also made a deal with Austin and Liz beforehand, where she got them to agree to throw part 1 of the final HOH to her if she kept them safe this week. So, after getting Austin and Liz to swear over their firstborn, Vanessa went through with nominating Steve and Johnny Mac.
I've nominated you, Steve, and you, Johnny Mac. This is a game decision, all about what I think maximizes my own probability of being able to get to finals.
I'm just crossing my fingers that noms stay the same and that I don't have to put one of Austin or Liz, because that would complicate things.
For being faced with an impossible decision, I once more think that Vanessa went with the plan that made the most sense for her own game. So, naturally, Johnny Mac had to go and mess all that up by winning the veto. Of course. It wouldn't be a Vanessa HOH if she wasn't faced with a killer dilemma on what to do after the veto. Vanessa spoke with Liz and Austin, and surprisingly, the two of them were both in agreement that Austin should be the replacement. This was because Liz had just been on the block last round, and Austin trusted that Liz would vote for him to stay, and if it came down to a tie, Vanessa would obviously vote to keep Austin over Steve. Right? This made Vanessa's first task surprisingly easy, and at the veto ceremony, John used the veto to save himself, and Vanessa nominated Austin in his place. It was good for Vanessa that she didn't need to get more blood on her hands at that moment, but don't get it twisted. The blood was coming. Vanessa had a final 2 deal with both Steve and Austin, and it was looking likely that she would have to make the tie-breaking vote to send one of them out. The big question in the room was obvious. Which final 2 would she break? In order to figure that out, Vanessa, of course, needed to do some thinking. She sat down with Johnny Mac in the HOH room, and the two of them got down to talking business. I should probably mention that Vanessa did a pretty decent job of hiding the fact that Johnny Mac was her intended target this week, so Johnny Mac was still relatively on board with working with Vanessa, because what other choice did he have? The two of them discussed, and eventually they came to the conclusion that if they kept Steve, Steve and Liz would go after each other at the final 4, which would effectively guarantee that the two of them would make it to the final 3.
Like, are we gonna go down as the dumbest people of all time in history if we don't break up Liz Tin?
Like right now? Yeah.
Yeah, I want to make final 3 with you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Now, even though Vanessa is usually the convincer, I feel like Johnny Mac did a lot of convincing here, in the sense that he was able to convince Vanessa that he and Steve were genuinely not that close in the game, especially in comparison to how close Austin and Liz were. And this made Vanessa feel a lot better about potentially keeping Steve. The two of them continued their game talk the next day and decided that they didn't just want to keep Steve. They wanted to make it a huge blindside. And I love a good blindside. Getting rid of Austin, though, that was a big deal. Austin was Vanessa's first true ally in the game. On just day 2, they had paired up together, and even though they had their ups and downs, with both of them almost backdooring the other, they had remained mostly loyal to one another. So this was going to be one heck of a betrayal. To heighten up the tension, Julie shocked the house guests by coming on the living room screen out of nowhere and announcing that the eviction was going to take place right then and there, a full day before anyone was expecting it to. Austin felt confident as could be sitting in his eviction chair. So much so that he didn't even bother to put on shoes. Liz and Johnny Mac went to go and cast their votes, and Julia revealed that, as Vanessa expected, there was a tie. So Vanessa stood up, looked at her final two allies, and cast the eviction vote heard round the world.
I came here to play a game, and it's a game decision. I'm sorry. Austin, I vote to evict you.
Austin was blindsided. Liz was blindsided. This was the betrayal of all betrayals. As Austin walked out of the house, he reprimanded Vanessa and told her that she had no shot of winning the game. But I'm not so sure about that.
You can't win. You're not going to win the jury votes.
I know that.
I knew it. I knew it was too good to be true.
Good luck, Austin.
Austin was straight up the best friend I had in the house. I know he trusted me, but he was gonna beat me. It was really hard. I didn't want to.
As the previous HOH, Vanessa sat by and watched as Steve won the HOH. But the HOH really didn't matter. This just kept Steve safe for the week. Everyone knew that the true power rested within the veto. After completely obliterating Liz's trust with that betrayal, Vanessa immediately went to work on winning her back over. She sat down with Liz and laid out all the logical reasons as to why she had to do that. She couldn't go to the final 3 with a couple because that's just asking to get 3rd place. But by evicting Austin, now Vanessa could be fully loyal to Liz, and they could go to the final 2 together.
Only 2 people can make finals, you see that, right? And with the both of you, I had to make a choice.
I have no one.
This is better for your game.
As much as it sickens me, I have to work with Vanessa because she's all I got at this point.
And I give you my word, on Mel, I am taking you with me.
A few moments later.
I'm telling you, I'm taking you to finals. No, I'm really I'm taking you to finals. I'm freed up to make a final 2 with both of them because I won't end up in the final 3 with both of them ever.
At the nomination ceremony, Steve nominated Vanessa and Johnny Mac for Eviction, but they all knew that the initial nominations meant nothing, and they were just having fun with it.
Sad pigs. We have never seen your face pop up there.
Going into the veto competition, Vanessa wanted more than anything to win this challenge and secure her own spot in the final 3. She could make as many deals as she wanted with Liz and Johnny Mac, but she knew that they could theoretically turn on her if they held the veto, so she needed to make sure that they didn't even have the option to evict her. Liz and Steve fell out of the competition early, making it a showdown between Vanessa and Johnny Mac. It was a close one, but in the end...
Congratulations, Vanessa. You have won the final veto of the summer.
Wow. Vanessa had proven herself to be the comp beast of the season. 4 HOHs, 3 vetoes, and a one-way ticket to the final 3. But you know what the best part was? She got to pick who went there with her. Between Johnny Mac and Liz, the decision was actually pretty easy for Vanessa. As much as they tried to deny it, Steve and Johnny Mac were like a duo in the game, and they had incentive to take each other to the final 2. Liz, on the other hand, had nobody, and she had been pretty angry at Steve over the last week or 2. So Vanessa felt confident that Liz would take her to the final 2, and that was all she needed. When eviction night came, Vanessa used the veto to save herself, and humorously, she found herself in the exact same position she did a couple nights earlier, standing in front of 2 people she had a final 2 deal with, but forced to send one of them home. This time, though, it wasn't nearly as brutal of a blindside, and with the sole vote, Vanessa chose to evict Johnny Mac in 4th place.
I gotta go for the gold on this one. So unfortunately, Johnny, I vote to evict you.
It's official.
Evicting Johnny Mac here was definitely the right choice for Vanessa, and heading into the final round, she once again found herself in the middle of 2 opposing players.
My plan has always been to take one person from Liston and one person from Johnny Mac and Steve to final 3.
Liz, Steve, Vanessa, the final 3 house guests. Just to give you a refresher, here's what Vanessa thought each player would do if they were to win the final HOH. If Vanessa won it, she was actually going to evict Steve and take Liz to the final 2, because she felt like she had a better shot at winning against Liz than against Steve. If Liz won the final HOH, she was also going to evict Steve and take Vanessa to the final 2, because Liz was loyal to Vanessa even through all the lies and the trickery. And then there was Steve. Vanessa and Steve had had a final 2 for the majority of the season, and Vanessa had hoped to have proven her loyalty to him through the Austin vote. Steve had always told Vanessa that he would honor his final 2 deal with her, and he had even sworn on his mother that he would take her to the end given the chance. And Steve loved his mom very, very much. So it looked like Steve would evict Liz and take Vanessa to the end, meaning that somehow Vanessa felt like a lock to sit in those final 2 chairs.
I like my spot right now. I'm pretty sure they'll bring me to final 2, as they're supposed to. Woo!
But naturally, Vanessa wanted to win the final HOH and have all the power to herself. Going into part 1, Vanessa was feeling confident. Steve dropped out of the competition relatively early, leaving just Vanessa and Liz fighting for the win. Vanessa probably could have outlasted Liz naturally in this challenge, but just in case she couldn't, she started using some verbal tactics, which caused Liz to seriously doubt her own chances of winning this part.
I've got maybe another hour in me if I'm lucky. It's time for some psychological warfare.
Are your muscles tired? Yes. Mine literally aren't, I swear to God. All right, 10 hours. I'm telling you, I'm not letting go of it.
After a short amount of time, Vanessa reaffirmed to Liz that of course she was going to take her to the final 2, and it was enough to get Liz to drop out of the challenge as well, crowning Vanessa the winner of part 1. Steve went on to beat Liz in part 2, meaning that it was going to be a Vanessa versus Steve showdown in part 3. This was it. One final competition. All she had to do was beat Steve, evict him, take Liz to the end, and hopefully have enough respect for her gameplay to earn the necessary jury votes to win the whole thing. The final part of the final HOH began, and it was a close one all the way through. Going into the final question, the two of them were tied with 4 points apiece, and it all came down to Johnny Mac's question. Steve answered A, Vanessa answered B, and the correct answer ended up being A.
Congratulations, Steve. You are the final.
Oof, that one hurt. Vanessa wanted the power in her hands, but now the choice was up to Steve. Vanessa had worked on Steve all season long, though, and she felt pretty confident that he was going to take her. But when the time came, this happened instead.
Vanessa, I am thoroughly convinced that you are the strongest female player this game has ever seen, and I know you can talk your way in with that jury, which means I'm so sorry, Vanessa. I have to vote to evict you.
It's official, Vanessa. You are the last person to be evicted.
All that work. 3 long months of navigation, manipulation, tears, and lots of deals, all for nothing. Vanessa underestimated Steve's ability to make a big move here, and it cost her the win. In the end, Vanessa chose to cast her jury vote for Liz over Steve, as she felt that Liz represented the season better than Steve did. However, the rest of the jury ultimately disagreed. Steve had done what nobody else had managed to do. Actually vote Vanessa out, and he was rewarded mightily for it once the jury crowned him the winner over Liz in a 6-3 vote. That could have, maybe should have, been Vanessa walking out to confetti. But sometimes you can only do so much, and Vanessa knows better than anyone that the cards fall how they fall, no matter how favorably the odds were.
Show your hands, because your fingerprints are all over every
I really
single
tried. Julie,
eviction.
but like I tried. Wasn't meant to be.
You played an amazing game, Vanessa.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
From beginning to end, Vanessa played one of the most high-intensity, fast-paced games I have ever seen, let alone covered on this channel. Although she had a quiet first week, everything after that was anything but. She formed key connections with both Austin and Steve that would prove to be very useful for her for the rest of the season, while also aligning with Shelly, Clay, Liz, and Audrey. Although Audrey became a problem child for Vanessa due to how often she would throw out Vanessa's name for seemingly no reason. While I would say that Vanessa's social game as a whole was overall less than stellar, she did have some massive highlights on an individual basis, as was proven by her being the first person that the twins told their secret to. This put in motion the creation of the Sixth Sense Alliance, and eventually the Freaks and Geeks / soon-to-be Scamper Squad, which did run most portions of the season. Vanessa got her first real taste of power in week 3, where she orchestrated the demise of Jeff, which drew a decent-sized line in the sand, but it also acted as a warning to the rest of the house that she was not someone to be messed with. Her game then saw a near monumental shift once she won the HOH for a second time in week 5, and she joined in on the Dark Moon Alliance, with the master plan being to backdoor her closest ally, Austin. However, after she accidentally remained in power, she realized that she was putting herself in a worse position by going with the Dark Moon people, and after Austin pleaded for his life and got Shelly and Clay back on board to keep him, Vanessa drew a much bigger line in the sand than she did in week 3 by pulling off her first big betrayal of the season by turning her back on the Dark Moon Alliance and blindsiding Jason, the strongest member of the opposing side of the house. Vanessa's next few rounds were her toughest in the game by far, as she was far and away target number 1 for a lot of people. But Vanessa managed to dodge, deflect, and deny her way into surviving round after round. At the final 12, she managed to push the blame for the Dark Moon betrayal onto Shelly and Clay, causing Clay to be evicted. Then at the final 11, when pretty much the whole house was in on Becky's plan to backdoor Vanessa, she was able to turn the tables onto Becky by sharing key information she had been holding onto about how Becky had been ratting out her allies to Shelly and Clay in the prior couple of rounds, which helped sway the votes back in her favor and caused her to survive her backdoor attempt unanimously, which had never been done before. Vanessa finally got an hour to relax once Steve won the double eviction HOH and evicted Jackie, but things went right back to freaky at the final 9 and the final 8, where, once again, there were 2 potential house plans to backdoor Vanessa on Liz and Austin's HOHs respectively. But Vanessa convinced the Oz twins that she was genuinely loyal to them and that she always had their back in the game, which earned their trust back for the time being, and they evicted Becky and Johnny Mac instead. Although it certainly helped that she did win the veto during the round that Johnny Mac went home. Before Johnny Mac was evicted, though, Vanessa and him came to an understanding that even though they had been at odds over the last few rounds, and even though he had been openly targeting her, if he won the battle back to come back into the house, they would secretly align and work together moving forward. So when Johnny Mac did end up coming back, Vanessa had a new ally in the house, and she found herself perfectly positioned between 2 groups, the Oz twins and Johnny Mac and Steve. After taking out the remainder of the opposing alliance, Vanessa was positioned perfectly to whittle away at each side until it was just herself and 1 person from each alliance at the final 3. Vanessa had done such excellent deal making and convincing to get herself in a position where she thought both Liz and Steve would take her to the end. But unfortunately, she was only half right, and she overlooked Steve's ability to lie convincingly. At around the time of the final 5, Steve took off his rose-tinted glasses and realized that the big move he needed to make in order to win this game would be to take out Vanessa. But he had to feign loyalty to her in the meantime in order to ensure that she wouldn't evict him that round. Once he narrowly beat her in the final HOH, he took the shot that nobody else had been able to land, and Vanessa was evicted in 3rd place. Now, for the record, Liz actually was going to take Vanessa to the final 2, so Vanessa entered that final round with a 67% chance at making it to the end, and she just got unlucky that the only outcome that resulted in her demise came into fruition. Also, for the record, even though Vanessa arguably had some pretty terrible jury management, she would have beaten both Liz and Steve in a jury vote. Of the 9 jurors, Jackie was the only one who was 100% locked in on not voting for Vanessa to win no matter what. Maybe Austin too, but I think she more than likely would have beaten Steve in a 7-2 vote and Liz in a 6-3 vote.
How many people are here because of Vanessa's influence?
Well, I'm here because of Vanessa.
One other thing that I wanted to mention is that even though Vanessa's toughest rounds came during the final 11 through the first final 8, it actually would not have mattered if she was evicted. Remember, Vanessa won the HOH comp that acted as the battle back competition. So even if Becky successfully backdoored her, or even if Liz managed to backdoor her at the final 9, Vanessa would have won the battle back and re-entered the game anyways. So based on how the season played out, Vanessa was practically unevictable up until the very end. And that is impressive as hell.
Juror number 9, come on out.
Steve made an excellent decision here. The boy became a man.
I'm really glad to see my best friend again.
Now, at the end of these videos, I like to give the player a score out of 10 to sum up their gameplay as a whole, and like always, this was a tricky one. Vanessa's strategic maneuvering and her ability to convince people to work with her, even though they knew it was a bad idea, was unreal. Like, I'm talking 10 out of 10 stuff right there, and there's no denying that she is absolutely one of the best strategists and convincers that the show has ever seen. On a physical level too, Vanessa was a beast. She won 7 competitions and part 1 of the final HOH. And she was up against a stacked field of players who were pretty much all great at competitions. So regarding those 2 pillars, Vanessa was elite. However, she struggled with 2 things: threat management and the social game. All season long, the players were constantly getting exhausted with the amount of obvious tactical manipulation and deal-making that Vanessa was putting them through, and it was a huge reason why she was a target for the entire middle portion of the game. But that, my friends, is exactly why Vanessa is one of the greats, even with everyone seeing exactly what she was doing. And even with Vanessa's oftentimes subpar social game, she was always able to get into people's heads and use logic and reasoning to explain why it made sense for her to betray them and why keeping her in the game was the most beneficial thing that they could do for their games. It's how she suffered no immediate backlash for betraying the Dark Moon Alliance in Week 5 and sending home Jason. It's why she got away with tricking Julia during the Final 6 veto. It's how she retained Liz's loyalty immediately after betraying her by evicting Austin at the Final 5. Heck, it's why she survived Becky's backdoor attempt in the first place. Vanessa's gameplay should not have worked, but she managed to use game theory and logic to convince everyone in the house to work with her again and again and again. And there is no denying the genius there. So, with all of that being said, I'm gonna go big, and I'm giving Vanessa a 9.3 out of 10. Because even though she found herself in way more terrible spots than other great players, she always found a way to worm her way out and land back on top. To me, Vanessa's gameplay is like those messy art pieces that somehow sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's hectic. It's wild. You oftentimes don't even know what you're looking at. But when you take a step back and view it as a whole, you start to see how uniquely beautiful it is, and how there will never, ever be something painted like that again.
I recognized coming in that much like poker, I could play perfectly and still not win. If I didn't come to terms with that, I'm setting myself up for quite the letdown.
And there we go. Although the Ashley video managed to be longer than this was by far the most work I have ever put into a player deep dive. So much so that I'm unfortunately gonna have to shake up my upload schedule for the foreseeable future. The next big video that I'm working on will still be for Drew Daniel, the winner of Big Brother 5, but after that, I'm not gonna have the time to get another big deep dive out before Big Brother 28 begins. Some of you might already know that I'm getting married this summer and going on my honeymoon immediately afterwards, which means I'm gonna have a lot less time to work on videos during the summer. So my way to combat this so I can maintain my 2 uploads a week during the airing of Big Brother 28 is by making some videos ahead of time and storing them in my reserves to be released over the summer when I don't have the ability to make a video due to my personal life. So if you see certain 20-minute videos that are labeled members only, that's because I just released them early for those that really want to see it, but don't fret because those videos will come out during the summer, and were always planned to be released during the summer. I just completed them earlier than usual. Now, with that being said, if I find that I get really ahead of schedule over the summer and I have the time for it, I will put in work on my next story video. It'll either be how Keanu lost Big Brother 27, or maybe I'll tackle another winner, like Adam Jasinski in Big Brother 9. But for now, I'm not sure what's next, so you'll just have to stick around and find out when it's time. Now, the last thing I want to say is just a huge thank you and shout out to Morty's TV. They had a perfect collection of the archives of the Big Brother 17 live feeds, and I could not have made this video to this degree or have anywhere as much confident information if it wasn't for their archived coverage. So shout out to them and everyone who worked on covering the live feeds that summer, because it helped more than they could ever know in the creation of this video. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I, of course, need to give that extra special shout out to all of my YouTube members and patrons who normally I would say something nice and uplifting about, such as how confident I would be that they wouldn't fall victim to Vanessa's mist and how they would assuredly take her out at the earliest opportunity. But you know what? I'm honestly not even sure if that's true, because Vanessa is just that good at convincing. And as always, here's a clip for you on your way out.
Jackie, what is she bringing to the table? Boobs.
You go up there on the block with Day when you do the B.O.B.
Why do I have to be the pawn? Why can't Clay be the pawn? It's like, guys, do you not like my face or something?
Being in this suit with Steve is definitely the most action I've had in months.
This is the dumbest strategy that you could possibly do. Sounds good. I'm on board.
I kind of want 7. That's my lucky number.
Sorry, boo. That's my number 2.
7.
I never.
That really made me pissed off what they did.
7 is a very popular number, honey. I bet a lot of people wanted
It's
it.
BB17.
I'm ticked off being nominated for a third time because I wasn't the first picture up. That is my spot.
You know what sounds good to Grant? Shower party.
You're partying and you end up in a shower with 14 other people and you're the only one with the hoodie on.
The correct answer is false.
Should have gotten the first question. The rumors about me throwing are already off the wall. And this is whoa.
I just lost the game.
Shut up, dude!
Hi, Mom, my beautiful human. I miss you. Just wanted to send you a little woof and a big hug.
Jelly's letter is written by her dog.
If you hate asking me so much, just don't ask me. Just dude, put someone else up. Oh, yes!
High five, high five, high five.
Oh, yeah.
These groupies are thirsty. They are dying of thirst.
Becky's like a hooker squirrel. She like hiked up her skirt and stuff.
Dead. Well.
It's gonna be the longest I've been without you ever.
I'm snaking my pants for you.
You know what would make this date just like perfect? Maybe a kiss from somebody.
Oh my God!
You have someone fighting for you this whole time. I'm so jealous. Stop. You're not gonna be my freaking dude from the start. No. I can't wait to get you drunk in New York City, baby.
I couldn't believe that Becky got hit by a train and Becky looks good. She did.
Well, you seen Titanic.
I know.
Rose was like, never let go. You just drifted, you let go.
You let go.
For love.
For her.
Titanic is the best movie ever.
They couldn't alternate?
That was kind of greedy of her. Lately, I've been hanging out with Steve. It started out as strategy, but now it's like, you know, the kid's kind of growing on me.
You know what a calorie is?
Nope.
Showering side by side.
Good night, sweetheart.
Good night, Mr. James. Shut up, Steve.
God, is it Frankie Grande?
Oh my gosh, it's a highway, it's mountains, it's crazy.
And down. Come on.
House guests, I need you all to gather in the living room right now.
Julie, you're not allowed to be here right now.
So you understand
And
it's
this is what,
simply it.
so you don't need to worry.
I'm the one on the block. You're HOH. Why are you the one bawling your eyes out?
I'm really, really mad. Oh, I don't even know who I'm mad at, I'm just mad.
Johnny Mac, 0 HOHs all season. Final 4. Probably gonna get evicted.
Meg, I think I saw a turtle pass you.
Shut up, Jamesy.
You're trying to play the game too hard.
You're actually literally insulting me.
Did you want me to say you're not playing the game, Vanessa?
No, you said you're playing the game too hard. That's a criticism. Austin, I vote to evict you.
Oh my God, she said it with no mercy, just cut your throat.
Whatever. I'll come back when I come back.